Welcome back to the program, kids. Two Nations Under Ted, a Ted Lasso podcast. We were talking off mic before we hit the record button here today, and I'm like, we just need to start recording because, man, we were already starting to dive into the scenes. This is a good, long, healthy episode, kids, so get ready. Maybe not this one, but the one we're reviewing. And maybe this one. We don't know yet. Tom Clark back here with you as always, joined by Jay Luft and Joe Higgens. And this, my friends, is episode number 10. That's right. This is the first time, gentlemen, that I have watched an episode from season 3 and thought, oh, crap, the countdown's on. And it took me to episode 10 to realize it. Like, freaking nuts. Joe, let's start with you. You said this before we started recording here today that you feel like this is sort of the beginning of the end.
Yeah, this is like the first act of the finale of Ted Lasso. Like, it's all been ramping up to this, but now the last 3 episodes could, in theory, be just one big, long episode, because this, when we get into it, this is literally people's storylines being tied up, like peripheral people and people who are sort of well, that's not true, but yeah, this would be the first act of the finale of Ted Lasso, the play, the musical.
Musical, yeah.
That would be terrible. No,
it's not. It's definitely music. Yeah, the way they run it, man. Yeah.
No, but like one of those jukebox musicals, like, you know, like We Will Rock You or something with music by Wham. No, there's already a Wham one. I don't know, but yeah.
Right. So, Jay, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, pretty much to echo Joe's sentiment there. It's very much you can tell like it's in the sort of like the end of the line of the show. They do a lot of kind of wrapping up people's stories. They do a lot of getting people almost to where they need to be. And as we spoke about before, Ted's barely in this episode.
He's in 3 scenes?
Yeah, he's in briefly at the start. He's in the very last scene, and then he's in a little bit in the middle as well.
Yeah, not a lot going on for the main character of the show. I'd forgotten also, guys, how emotional this freaking episode is.
Yeah.
Big bits. Absolutely. Big go and wash your face.
Yeah.
As you cry in energy. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Well, kids, hopefully we've got you ready. We're not going to spend any more time in the intro here. We're going to go ahead and get to it. As we said, this is episode 10. This episode is called International Break. The original air date, May 17th, 2023. This one's directed by Matt Lipsey, story by Jane Becker. 12 episodes in season 3, kids. We've got 3 left to go, counting this one. Nuts. Crazy. When last we left the Ted Lasso gang, Keely's hopes of reconnecting with Jack ultimately went nowhere as Jack continued to ghost her until finally responding with plans of spending the next 2 months in Argentina. Nate's relationship with Rupert reached a breaking point when Rupert's plans for a night out included putting Nate in a compromising situation. Isaac's troubling reaction to discovering Colin's secret eventually led to confronting a homophobic fan. But in the end, he and Colin were back on the same page. We are kicking off this episode with Soccer Saturday. I don't recall seeing the word Gillette this time. I think it was just Soccer Saturday, which I found interesting. Don't know if there's any particular reason for it. Maybe it's just, I don't know, maybe something with that company. I don't know.
Well, there was the opening Sting card thing, weren't there? But
yeah. I've got it running right now.
So Gillette Soccer Saturday is an actual like Sky Sports show, which obviously this mimics, but they're not licensed, so maybe
it just says Soccer Saturday. Yeah.
Maybe Sky have said, "Oh, you can't use that."
Right.
Yeah, probably.
They got wise to it. Like, wait a minute, we didn't say you could do that.
You've already took Stelling off us.
Yeah. You don't see this person, but you can hear a crew member saying to Jeff, we just got this in. Do we have time to run this? And then they go live, and Jeff is talking about the hottest team in the country, clearly Richmond, on a 10-game winning streak on the back of some inspired play by Sam Obisanya. We get some highlights of Sam and the AFC Richmond crew. Clinton is here. He says, Jeff, you have to think Sam Obisanya will make his Nigeria debut or the world's gone truly mad. Jeff says, but our top story, the mysterious managerial vacancy at West Ham United. The club has suddenly parted ways with the wonder kid, Nathan Shelley.
Yeah, so you were right at the end of last episode where Nate chose to walk away.
Although with them obviously getting notified there and then, it sounds like it's just been made public.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was handed the news story, yeah. Clinton says it's a shocker they were having such a great season. George says, leave it to George.
George is just a contrarian. He would say the sky was green if someone said it was blue.
In this situation, George is job hunting.
Oh yeah, he's proper.
Well said.
He's proper sniffing about. Yeah.
The amount of times you get a manager on a show like this, and they talk about a manager getting sacked or leaving the club, and it's a manager. It'll be a manager who's out of work, who's looking for a new job, and they'll not throw the name in the hat, but they'll say all the right things to get themselves hired. And this is exactly what George is doing here, where he's like, "Oh, Mr. Mannion, though."
Yeah. Oh, he's a big, strong boy. Yeah, that's been George's entire career, though, hasn't it? We've discovered is that he's just gone from club to club to club. Like, he's terrible at his job.
He's just shit journeyman manager who keeps a club up.
Yeah. He takes it to him here and says, "Look, Nate Shelley is the reason West Ham are in second place. I mean, wonder kid. Come on, he was my kit man, for God's sake. No, Rupert Mannion is the brains behind this whole operation. Yeah, kissing up to him just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Again, this is what Rupert wanted Nate to be, as a yes man. You see earlier in the season where Nate's sending Rupert the team sheets in his texts.
Yeah.
And Rupert has to approve them, and Rupert's trying to be really hands-on as the owner. So, for a fact that because he's the owner, he can't really manage the club. I don't know if there's a rule against that, but
I think
either way,
there
probably is,
isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, but because I suppose he couldn't sack himself. Although I have heard of managers being brought on and put on the board, so it's not completely out of the realm of possibility. But obviously, it's a bit more. But yeah, he's pretty much just saying to Rupert, yeah, if you want someone who's just gonna play your team sheets, play your tactics you want, I'm your man.
Yeah,
show up and take that check.
Yeah. I'll happily show up, and we won't win anything. We'll go 3-3. There you go. We'll just break even. Yeah.
I'll do a season, get my pay, get my golden handshake, and then I'll be on to the next one.
Yeah. Jeff says, okay, let's turn our attention to the international break. National squad announcements are trickling in. Which players will get the honor of representing their country? We go to a very happy locker room as the team has won again. Jay, at this point, the press, the team's competitors, other managers, everyone, if this were real, would have to be singing Ted's praises, right? This would no longer be they're lucky. I mean, at this point, wouldn't the guy behind these things be getting a lot of the credit here for the team's success?
Yeah. So obviously, as the manager, he'd be getting a ton of praise, but also I think as they're kind of putting a lot of focus on Sam in particular, they would be talking about the players, but ultimately it would be the manager, because you can have a team of players who are amazing, but if the manager isn't right, then they're just players. They're not a team, and that's the whole emphasis of the show, is that Ted's made them going from being just players on the pitch to being an actual unit.
Yes. Also, 10 in a row, that's pretty unheard of, big. Isn't it? Yeah.
It's not unheard of, but it's very
rare. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Usually you'd be expecting that from someone like Arsenal, Liverpool, City.
Yeah.
And even then, you're only as good as your last game.
I mean, it's pretty obvious Ted's system is working. He congratulates the team, reminds them that because of international play, there's no game next week. So tell everyone watching and listening, Jay, why the international break? Do you know how long this has been going on? Is this a yearly, no matter what, international break for Premier League? How's this work?
Yeah, it's not just Premier League. It's every league. So usually, because of obviously the World Cup and either the European Championships or the Copa America or whatever like kind of like continental international tournament there is, there'll always be qualifiers for those tournaments, or that's like because they're like every 4 years. So, and then every 4 years, but then it like kind of alternates every 2 years, if that makes sense. So we've just had the Euros last summer, just gone. And then 2 years ago was the World Cup. 2 years before that, if it wasn't COVID, would have been the Euros, but that got pushed back a year, and so on and so forth. So it would be qualifiers for that. If it was like one of those tournaments that year, it would be friendlies to kind of get the team, get the manager an idea of who they're going to take to the tournament. But it's generally just preparation for tournaments. I personally can't stand them because it's just like it. Well, as you saw last week, Tom, at time of recording, there was an international break, and you sent me a message saying, "Why isn't there any football on?"
Games. Yeah, I wanted to watch some. Man.
Why can't I watch any football? As I it's all international games, and that's pretty much the sentiment I have as well. To be fair. But yeah, it's just designed for international teams to experiment with players, give players who they might be considering taking to a tournament a chance if it's a friendly, which is like just a non-competitive game essentially. If it's like a qualifying game, if say for example, if like let's say France had qualified, they might just be playing the game more as like a formality. They might just want to take some young players to give them the experience, or to try and see if they're ready to make the step up from under 21 to the full blown team. So it's generally just one of those things. They usually do it mid-September's one. I think there's one around late October, early November. And then I think there's usually one around it's either the end of March or the start of April. And then they'll probably usually have one like, it's not really an international break because it's after the season's finished, but they'll probably have more games like sort of like around June, July time. And then normally a tournament would start in June or July.
Interesting. I can't say that we have anything like that here in this country, except for Olympic Games and stuff like that, where players can represent their country.
Well, to be fair, the MLS will have it as well.
Interesting.
To a degree, because their season is like a different time to pretty much every other season in football. So they'd potentially see a little bit of it, but not a lot of it. But there will be international breaks in the MLS for sure.
That's cool. Yeah, interesting. So Ted says, all right, hey, look, kind of hurts my feelings. Y'all don't want to spend next weekend with me, if I'm being honest. But I am the strong silent type, so I ain't going to let you know. But I'm also loud and weak because I, like all humans, contain multitudes. Am I right? And all the guys nod and agree with this. You can even hear Jamie say, great speech. So this I contain multitudes line could very well be a reference to the Bob Dylan song, I Contain Multitudes, which is about the concept of the multiplicity of the self. May also be a reference to Walt Whitman's 1855 poem, Song of Myself, from his collection Leaves of Grass, where he states, do I contradict myself? Very well then, I contradict myself. I am large, I contain multitudes. So there you go. Once again, kids, this show, layer upon layer, you got to peel the onion sometimes. So Ted says we want to say goodnight and good luck to the fellas on our squad that have been chosen to represent their home country next week. For this next bit, Ted begins to announce names, and the guys are all happy and cheering their teammates on. So for England, Beard's doing the honors, and he says for England, it's Jamie. For Canada, it's Van Damme. We'll be going up against Mexico and Dani Rojas. There's some foreshadowing coming. For Switzerland, it's Bumbercatch. Ted says, woo, wait, hold on. Bumbercatch, you're Swiss? He goes, yeah, look at me. Great line.
The more we find out about Bumbercatch this season, the more I need to know about him, because the man's an enigma.
Yes.
Well, especially for the fact that he's got an English accent.
His parents could be. Is it up to grandparents?
It's up to grandparents. So that
so...
like again, that opens a whole can of worms amongst itself.
It's up to grandparents, is it?
Yeah. So if you've got grandparents of a certain nationality, you're able to declare for that nation. So, for example, a lot of like English players who probably want to play international football, but know they're not going to make the England team, will declare for Wales or Ireland or Scotland because they know there's more of a chance for them to be able to play
what
for
was he
that.
Called? Gareth Bale?
Gareth Bale. He
choose to play for Wales instead of England?
No, he's actual Welsh. Ryan Giggs was that one.
Oh, I thought I had something then.
Yeah.
It got away from me.
You were very close.
But I could technically play for Scotland. If I was anyway sporty. But yeah.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of you tend to find there's quite a lot of Polish players who have very English sounding names as a result of that. Because obviously there's like a ton of like Polish immigrants who are in the UK. So I know there's a Poland player called Matty Cash, and when I found out he was Polish, I was like, wait, what? That's not a Polish name.
Anything in there.
Yeah,
it's fun.
So yeah, you do see it quite a lot. That you see it the other way as well sometimes though. Like there's been footballers who've haven't played for an international team, like the main team. I think it's up to under 21s that you can play to before you declare which nation you're actually going to play for.
Interesting.
So there's been players who have haven't played for like any like sort of like senior level, and England have been like, oh, they could declare for England technically, and then they've just gone, no, we're not interested, fuck off, because it's England, and why would you want to play for England? Also, there's then another grey area which kind of only really started getting introduced, like maybe in the last sort of 10 years, where if you've got citizenship for that country and haven't been called up to your national team, you can declare for that national team. So Spain have got a Brazilian forward called Diego Costa who plays for them, and a French defender as well who plays for them because he's got a Spanish citizenship.
So has never played for France.
And he's only played for the under 21s for France, and then he
so you can't be like, I played for France. I don't like this. I'm going to go to Spain, get citizenship.
Yeah, with both of them, what's a really weird point of contention is that both France and Brazil respectively tried to call them up, and they went, "No, we want to play for Spain." And then Spain went, "Okay," and called them up.
That's cricket, is it?
No, not at all. But you do tend to see quite a lot of players who will have that sort of a thing.
Well, we only had one left here, and that was repping Wales, Colin Hughes. And Ted says, "Is that it?" And Beard very slowly looks down and very quietly, slowly closes the folder, and it gets real quiet. And he says, "That's it." And everyone stops and looks at Sam. And we, as the audience who have followed this show for all 3 seasons, know where this is coming from. And if we have suspicions, we will figure it out. They will be confirmed in this show.
I immediately, because he said, when it happened, and I was just like, oh, we get to, he's back.
Yeah.
He's in this episode more than he's in any other episode as well.
Yeah.
He's freaking awesome. I can't wait to get to him.
He's a cool character.
So Ted says, all right, well, let's go ahead and wish our friends safe travels and Godspeed, or whatever narcotic your deity chooses to self-medicate with. I really like that line.
Can't even help himself.
Yeah, rest of y'all see on Monday. Jamie, who's been eyeing Sam this whole time across the locker room, is the one to approach him. He tells Sam he's sorry and that they fucked him. Sam says it's okay, and he congratulates Jamie. Jamie is really truly a real boy now. I don't know what's left. I know something's to come, but this is awesome. Well, I really enjoyed this.
One thing that they are very sort of not so much that it like you can't see it, but it does sort of go unsaid as well, is that Jamie and Sam have built like this sort of, maybe not necessarily a friendship, but it is very much still like a friendship, but it's more like a mutual respect for one another. Where obviously in previous season, like the first season, Jamie was horrible to Sam and like picked on him all the time. In the second season, Sam was like dead against Jamie coming back, and now it's like, oh no, he's changed, and me and him like are the two sort of key players of the team.
Iron sharpening iron, isn't it? It's that thing. But it's like in the last episode where Isaac gives Sam the captain's armband, and Jamie's like, "I'll take that if you want," and he's just like, "Nah." Yeah, it's friendly rivalry. I would put it down.
Yeah, that's a very good way of putting it.
Also, when they announce Jamie, Roy like gives Jamie a little, see, I told you.
I saw that. Yeah.
They're best buds now. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. I told you guys for a year now, I'm a sucker for happy endings. I can't help it. I love it. So Van Damme goes up to Dani, whose back is turned. Hey, yo, congrats, bro. Dani turns around and the music, the tone suddenly changes. It gets really dark.
And Dani hasn't got that like Labrador smile on his face.
I am not your bro. We are now enemies. And soon you will be my bitch. And he lunges at Van Damme, who jumps back. Did you notice his Van Damme
is my favorite Dani?
It's awesome. Yeah. Did you notice when Van Damme walks away that Dani's he's got this crazy smile at him. It's so good. And he's muttering in Spanish. I don't know what he's saying.
I couldn't pick it up because the subtitles didn't even translate it, because I was like, that's probably something rude. Yeah.
That's so awesome. Yeah. Yeah, it's like a curse or something. I don't know. But we go to Rebecca's office. More to come. Yeah, it just says muttering in Spanish for the captions, unfortunately. So we go to Rebecca's office, and she's talking to Ted, and Ted says, and it never skips a month? Rebecca says, only if you're pregnant. He goes, well, shoot, I got to check out this wine delivery service. Sounds like a real corker.
Again, it's a good misdirect. Like you think they're talking about periods and that, because Keely's not around, so Rebecca's had to default to Ted for girl talk, and but no, it's the wine of the month club. Yeah.
She asked him if he's heard about Nathan. What do we think's happened? He says, well, boss, I'm like an incomplete list of Madeline Kahn's best films. I ain't got no clue, and it ain't really none of my business anyhow. She goes, Ted, look, I mean this in the nicest way possible, but you suck at girl talk. He says, I just don't like gossip.
There's this great bit as well where it just pans across.
Yes.
And Trent's just there.
Yeah. He's been sitting there for all of this, like from out of nowhere.
I love the way they do that with Trent, though, because obviously he's meant to be like a fly on the wall for writing the book. There's so many scenes that they treat him like that, and then they just bring him
pan across, and he's there. And he's like, "Yeah, I'll wait in."
Yeah, it's so good.
He says, "I've been hearing rumblings of inappropriate workplace behavior over at West Ham." Rebecca says, "See, excellent girl talk." So
he looks very proud. Does Trent?
Yeah,
that.
Yeah.
We never get this elaborated, but I'm guessing that whoever made this up is named Rupert. Is that right?
Yeah. Yes. 100%.
Well, no. I don't think it is Rupert. I think it's because there's stuff that happens later in the episode which was indicate maybe someone's like told Trent something, because obviously we'll get to it when we get to it, but there's something that happens later on in the episode, and it's like, right.
Oh,
okay.
All right. I didn't pick up on that. I just assumed it was Rupert to say face.
I did too. Yeah.
With the inappropriate things?
Yeah.
No, I think it's targeted at Rupert. I don't think it is Rupert.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh,
I got it.
I know what you mean now. Yeah.
Give me a second. Yeah.
100% on board now. Yeah.
Same brain. I'm in the same brain thing now for just a minute anyway. So Rebecca says, see, excellent girl talk. So what do we think? Is Nathan capable of being involved in something like that? They all take a beat and go, no, nah. Yeah. They all agree.
Leslie comes running in like he does, puffing and panting. And he's got the scuttlebutt.
Scuttlebutt, yeah. He says,
I don't like gossip, but I don't mind my butt getting scuttled.
Edwin Akufo's back in town. Rebecca immediately reacts to this with, what now? He says apparently he's sniffing around about trying to create a super league of some sort.
Yeah,
Rebecca says,
this is up there.
This is really good. Where did you hear this? He says, well, Rebecca, I am the director of football operations. And she's like, oh. He says, and a bunch of us DFOs have a little jazz jam band we call the Directors of Beep Operations. Akufo came up at rehearsal. Ted says,
but this is up there with Ted, as a Ted dumb moment with God. It's just like, what's wrong with him trying to create? Yeah, it's so good.
Why is it so bad that a billionaire wants to put together a bunch of superheroes to fight crime? Ooh, Ted,
no, you're
thinking of the Justice League.
Oh,
dang it! He thought he had it that time, Look,
and Higgins explains the concept of Super League again, even though they've already had it mentioned in when Akufo first appears. But
so isn't this basically how the Premier League started? A couple of rich guys started talking about, wouldn't it be cool if we could do this?
Yes. That's how the Premier League started. Yeah. Also, which is more sort of, it's more topical for the time this come out. In 2021, there was basically an announcement that there was going to be a European Super League with 12 clubs formally announced. They'd be exempt from FIFA and UEFA, and basically it was the big six English clubs of Liverpool, United, Spurs, Manchester City, Arsenal, and Chelsea, Real Madrid and Barcelona, Juventus, PSG, and two other clubs I can't remember off the top of my head. They basically said they were going to break away, make their own like European Super League, exempt from any kind of domestic leagues. Now, naturally, as soon as this come out, FIFA and UEFA were like, "The fuck you are," and basically, they were pretty more or less like 48 hours after this got like announced, all but like one of the clubs had pulled out. And it was basically a terrible idea. It was a way to make the rich clubs richer and not give a shit about what the consequences were below. It basically ended up starting a legal dispute between the people who wanted to form the Super League and UEFA, and it ended up getting taken to the Court of Justice of the European Union. So, yeah.
Saudi lads, wasn't it?
I think it was this time. To be honest,
it comes up every so often, doesn't it? It feels like.
Yeah. So it was originally it was something that like kind of like got pitched in the 60s. That didn't happen. Then in 1998, there was like talks about it, and it kind of fell through in 2002. And then this was like the sort of latest one. I think with the kind of sanctions that were put in place this time and the threats of like, obviously, I think all the clubs involved got fined heavily for it. There was talk of, obviously, if they did, they'd be stripped of like the professional status as a club. So that would then mean the players who were playing for them wouldn't be allowed to declare internationally. So it basically, they did everything in their power to say this is a fucking stupid idea.
It is a stupid idea.
It is a very it's basically trying to create a cartel in football, which I mean, not that I'm saying there is a cartel in football, but when you refer to 6 teams in a certain league as the big six, And there
like
was
Eurovision.
Well, yeah, and every year there's kind of discussions about giving them more power for some reason. It never comes to fruition again, but they always try and like get more power. Yeah, it's a terrible idea. It's got no place in football for me, and I'm glad that it fell through when it got announced. It was like, nah, fuck that.
It's like Higgins says, though. Every match you would never get a David against Goliath. In fact,
Yeah.
David's probably wouldn't exist. And Higgins' approach to it is very different from Akufu's later on.
Mm-hmm.
And
So
I'm more on the Higgins. I don't even particularly care for football, but
yeah,
I like the fact that any team can end up playing any team during like the FA Cup and all that, and I like that because some lad from who plays part time and is a plasterer can go and play against a world class professional, and that's kind of weirdly magical.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So it wouldn't necessarily kill the leagues below it. I think especially like not so much in England because, as I say, there's definitely that weird hierarchy there. But when you look at like to a degree the French league, the Italian league, the Spanish league, as apart from like the teams that were like obviously like Real Madrid and Barcelona in Spain, for example, you had teams like Atletico Madrid who were underneath there, Sevilla, Valencia, Villarreal, teams that are always kind of pushing up and moving up and down. Even like last season, there was Girona who had never competed for anything, who were like finished the league third or second. So it like there's a lot more kind of like shifting amongst the leagues there. So I think it's more Higgins over dramatizing it because there's always kind of like teams that are going to be challenging that hierarchy, but obviously it's still not good.
No, I just don't. Why would you want to watch? Because then those matches where you get to see two top of their respective league teams play is a special thing.
Yeah.
Put it into wrestling terms, it would be like if like the Danielson McGuinness thing happened every week. It doesn't. Yeah. It's not special anymore. It just becomes run of the mill and boring. And then where do you go from there? Landmines.
And also, the other thing to take into account is if you've got like the best versus the best, a lot of the time they're going to end in stalemates.
Yeah,
and
that's
so
true.
Like
everyone will just be playing very conservatively because they don't want someone to go over them. Yeah,
but not even that. If you've got the best defense versus the best attack, versus the best defense versus the best attack, they're just gonna literally
boring.
cancel each other out. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of boring draws.
Yeah, or it's 0-0 or 1-0, and that's every game. Yeah, jeez.
Or you'll get the occasional game where like there's like a load of goals in it, but it still won't happen often.
Well,
so it's
no. Well, Rebecca believes that Rupert is involved in this, and boy is he ever. And as soon as she says that, her phone rings and she holds it up and she says, "Speak of the devil." She shows on the screen it says the devil. Trent Higgins know what that means, but Ted is
another great
confused.
Ted one. I thought it actually was the devil
doing this. And
God.
Yeah, he's like, "It was Rupert," and she's like, "Yes." Oh, sorry. Okay, I thought it was the actual devil for a second. He's 2 for 2 on nonsense here.
Yeah.
So
it's got to get his shit in if he's only got limited time.
I was going to say he's only got like 8 lines in the episode.
That's fair. Got to make him count. Yeah. We get to
quality, not quantity.
Oh, another Danger Mouse reference was at Penfold. He was really going over dramatic in a scene, and Danger Mouse is like, "What is this?" He's like, "Well, I haven't had much to do this episode, so I just thought, like I'd ham it up a little bit, So we go to Nate's place. He's under the covers, and Jade comes in. She asks if he's alive, and he says, unfortunately, he asks her if she thinks he's an idiot, and she says, sometimes. He says, no, for quitting my job. She says, do you wish you hadn't? He says, he shakes his head no, and she says, well, there's your answer.
Yeah.
He tells her he doesn't know what he's going to do, and she asks him if he wants her to stay, and he says no. She says, "Do you want to come to Poland with me? You can help me and my family screw in light bulbs." And he goes, "That's very funny." She's like, "Why is it funny?"
I was like, she doesn't
straight faced.
Like,
it's freaking wonderful.
Oh,
very wonderful. Yeah. She I don't want to say the joke.
How many
I can say it if you want.
It was Irish people here. It's whichever your neighbouring country is that's
yes,
the idiot one,
yes.
isn't it? Like
yes.
How many of them does it take to screw in a light bulb? 3, 1 to hold the light bulb and 2 to rotate the ladder. Yes.
Yes.
Do you think she's made that like just because the way her sort of personality seems to be is she's made that joke and then Nate's gone, "Oh yeah, that's funny." She's like said that to kind of like catch him off.
Yeah. Cheer him up.
Yeah.
Could be, yeah.
But she does the right thing. She anchors him. She's like, "Well, have you made the right decision?" And then tries to cheer him up. But he's so far in his doldrums that
Yeah.
She leaves, and Nate hears some commotion outside. He gets up to look, and there's some reporters by the street trying to get pics of him. They're obviously after the story of why he quit. This is the coming up next, kids, is the first big emotional beat of this show, of this episode. We go to Keely's office, and there's furniture being moved out. Keely doesn't know what's going on, but she's met by Dan, who has his stuff boxed up, and he tells her she's the best boss he ever had and the hottest. She says,
"It's a very confusing compliment.
It's a complicated compliment." He responds with, "Oh, thank you." Like he's I can't tell if it's relief or happiness or it touched him that she thought, I don't know. It's a weird way. I love it.
That's the most she's ever spoken to him without him going just frozen in fear.
Just standing up. Yeah. So she's talking to Barbara and asks what's going on. Barbara is surprised.
Are we being slowly buckled?
Yeah. That she didn't get the same email from Jack that she got the night before. The VC are pulling the funding. KJPR is shutting down. Barbara says, "Don't worry, we got plenty of time. We don't have to be out till Friday." Keely says it's Wednesday. She's like, "Yeah, I suppose that is quite soon, isn't it? Especially if you didn't get the email last night." Now, if you don't know Barbara and know how quirky she is, you would go, "That's kind of a bitchy move. That's kind of a horrible thing to say. It sounds like you're happy that Keely's devastated." But look, Barbara's not good with people. We've established that, or dealing with an awkward situation. And when Keely goes in her office, you can see and hear the moving men talking. They're talking about Nate's departure. One of them says, "I mean, if he doesn't want to coach West Ham for millions, I'll bloody do it." And Keely closes the door, dims the glass, and cries. And that was emotional to watch because, man, just love these characters when you get so attached, dude.
It is that thing of Barbara. Like, you can tell that this has hurt Barbara as well. Because, like, Keely's the first person who's ever treated her as a human being and not just a numbers robot that comes in. And once again, as well, Jack leaving Barbara to clean up her mess.
But I think as well, the other thing is obviously like Barbara's gone from being, as you say, being like a numbers robot to she's a lot of the time she shows genuine empathy towards Keely. And I think that goes a long way in humanizing her to like making her feel like she's being humanized by Keely as well, because obviously it's a two-way street. It's not just it's not just Keely's being nice to Barbara. Barbara's finding herself wanting to be empathetic to Keely.
Yes. It's a lovely thing. And again, that bit where she went, "Yeah, it's horrible if you didn't get that email." And it's like, I mean, it was last night. It would have been an extra 12 hours of knowing.
Yeah, because it
wouldn't have changed a blind bit of difference.
Yeah, it's like when she's like trying to like be positive, like, "Well, at least we got the end of the week," and it's like, it's Wednesday. It's like, oh yeah, I suppose you're right.
Yeah, it is one of those. But yeah, it's so Keely's dream. Because surely this thing must be running at a profit. She's clearly good at her job.
Yeah,
Keely.
You would think, yeah. So, well, we know why the funding was really pulled.
Oh, we know.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, it's Jack's like this, like wrapping it up in the whole, "Oh yeah, they don't see it's profitable." She's fucking jilted ex-lover.
Yeah, and
Keely
I don't want
that
in line with my mind.
Disappeared in the country for 2 months. Yeah.
I said to my mom, any new character that got introduced in this season is a wrong un. Shandy, Jack, that's about it. But it's 2 for 2, isn't it?
Still 2 for 2. We
Shandy's
go
just
from.
misguided.
Is there anyone else who's new-ish who's been introduced in this season? Oh,
Barbara was introduced this season. Yeah.
We like Barbara.
Yeah,
Zava was introduced. Zava
Zava.
disappeared.
We like Zava.
Yeah.
We love Zava.
All right, my theory falls apart then.
Dan.
50-50 shot.
We met Dan this year. We like Dan, so
we don't know enough about Dan to like.
We don't know enough about Dan. Yeah.
We don't like Dan. We're indifferent about Dan.
Oh, okay.
I like him. Just that bit where he stands.
Dan's there.
Sit down, Dan.
Yeah. Yeah. Who's coming with me? Dan, stop. Van Damme's getting on his plane, and we can see a very intense Dani with sunglasses on. Did you notice that he's working his jaw as he's sitting there? Like he's got like he looks like he's on his way to a killing. I don't know what's going on, but like he's not moving a muscle. And Van Damme, yes. Van Damme sits down. He's excited to see him. He tells the woman next to him, "That's my teammate." He's happy. So when he goes to get his attention, he's like, "Dani." And you can see Dani just very like a horror movie. You know what I mean? Slowly, just look at him. He offers him something to realize. Yes, he is like a supervillain.
It's like such a character from Dani Rojas to
oh my god,
Dani, I will stab you in the throat with a pen, Rojas. Like it's dread. Dani, do you want crisp?
This is Randy Dohas.
Oh yes.
I'm just saying. And he offers some chips, and he just takes it and crushes it, and then just empties it into his hand. And then just very calmly puts the bag back in his hand and turns around.
I love how confused. I love how confused Van Damme looks by it though as well. Like, what? Why?
They were on a plane. They were like £3 that bag of crisps. Well expensive.
Yeah,
right. Oh, comedy dictates that the person that Dani's doing that to doesn't move, and he just takes it. That's the comedy aspect of these shows.
Still like what's happened to Dani? Why has he gone mental?
What's going on? Oh, I love this Dani. We didn't get enough of this Dani. I'm just saying.
I think short burst evil Dani is the way to go.
Yeah, that's fair. Back at the dog track, Ted, Beard, and Roy are talking about Sam's work on the pitch and that they know he's upset about not being chosen for the Nigerian team. Ted calls Sam in and tries to give him a pep talk. And he says, but don't forget, even the great Michael Jordan himself didn't make his high school varsity basketball team. Sam says, but wasn't that because he was only a 6'10" sophomore, 6'8" sophomore, and the team was in need of height, so they sent him home to the junior varsity with the hope that he would develop physically, which he did, growing so many inches the very next summer. Well, I mean, if you know all the details, it does render the story a little less motivational. That's so
also,
good.
But before we start recording basketball, didn't he make all his money in college? That's Shaq, isn't it? Sorry.
That is Shaq, isn't it?
Shaq
Yeah,
made
that's
all
great.
his money in college.
That's a great line. Oh, wow. I'm here for that. But all Ted has is, my point still stands. Keep your head up. Be a goldfish. Like,
be a goldfish.
Yeah.
Call back to a very early episode.
But Sam's truly crushed. Jay, we know later what's going on, so I could save it till then, but I'm going to ask you right now. I'm sure the answer is yes. Do we know how often it's happened? I don't know if you know. But owners or influencers being able to keep a player from an international team because of a grudge, I mean, I don't know. Is that real life?
Probably. I don't know of anything myself, but I do know, obviously, like where there's been like the only thing sort of similar I can think of is where there's been like times where you've seen a player who's been playing incredible, and everyone, like the player's manager, the media, are saying this player needs to be called up for the country, and then it comes to the call-ups and the name's not on the list. And it's like, what? And then usually Gareth Southgate will be making an excuse going, oh, well, I don't like this player for this reason. They don't fit into my system, even though they've got these players who do the exact same thing, but played about a fraction of the game time. So a lot of the time, you will see like it's more usually managers who are too stubborn to call up a player just based on the fact that everyone seems to see something that they don't. But as far, I mean, to be honest, there's quite a few international countries who have had scandals, so I wouldn't be surprised if this is based on something that actually happened. I did look into it. I didn't see anything.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean that it didn't.
Sure.
But I have seen obviously times where players have or haven't been called up because of their biases. So yeah, it's one of those things. I honestly couldn't give you a definitive answer on it.
Well, if humans are involved and humans are flawed people, then yeah, surely someone's done something to somebody somewhere. So I can't get much more vague than that. Beard gets a text message, and it's Jane, and he tells Ted, tonight me and Jane have reserved an axe throwing lane at Hatchet and Rye. You fellas care to join the festivities? Is Hatchet and Rye a real place? Do we know?
I don't think so.
Probably. There's about a million axe throwing places that have sprung up and then immediately folded because it's niche. It's fun.
It is.
But you go once and then like
we went to that one time, didn't we? We didn't do axe throwing. We played mini golf, but
no, we went to darts. We went to darts.
We played darts. Sorry, yeah, that was it. But they had axe throwing there also.
Yeah, but I was too hammered by that point.
Yeah, I didn't trust myself with an axe.
No.
The first time my kid.
I would say, but Beard, on the other hand, has a lot of axes.
Oh yeah. The first time my kid ever threw an axe, we went to one of those places. The first one he threw was bullseye, dead center.
Lovely stuff. Stop there.
And I looked around. I'm like, should I be proud of my child who can throw an axe bullseye, or be scared of my child that can throw an axe hit a bullseye? Yeah, he's got a lot. He's telling Ted, can you remember, or telling Jane, can you remember to bring my throwing axe, please? No, not that one. The one with the leather sleeve. You know what? Just bring them all. And Ted says, how many axes you got? 17, but they're not all for throwing. Then what? He never follows up what they're there for, but
Do we not? Oh, is it later on? We find out that he was on like the lumberjack Olympics team or something.
He did say something in a previous episode, didn't he?
He's definitely mentioned something about that, yeah.
So that's probably why, yeah.
Well done.
Because when he said it, I was like, why has he got so many axes? And I was like, I'm sure he said he was the Jack Olympics or something like that. And yeah, but 17, and not in this country. I couldn't bear to be apart from my axes.
Yeah.
It's just Beard. And then
when he watches,
they're quite heavy. She's going to struggle to bring them.
Yeah. When he shows him the cardboard cutout of Nate with a target on his crotch, he's like, he's very happy when he holds his phone up, and Ted's just like, well, don't you feel it's bad karma to celebrate someone else's bad karma? And Beard's like, no. You in? Straight to Roy. Doesn't hesitate. No.
Nate hurt him. Nate hurt.
Yes, he did.
Didn't he? Like, massively. Like, more than Ted, I think. But, yeah. And then Roy. Roy's got something else to do and won't elaborate further and then leaves. Yeah.
And the headline on Ted's phone on the local paper is Wonder Kids Shock Exit. Why is the headline. So, the axe bit. Anyway, it's fun. So Rebecca runs into Sam in the hallway and tells him she's sorry about the national team. He said, it's okay. He probably could have worked harder. And she just makes this face as if to say, no, like, that's not true. But she tells him she thinks he's great. They're a little awkward, but it's not too much.
It's the awkward arm touch. And then like there you go, kid. Yeah. It's nice. But it is like, oh God. But Rebecca walks off with a smile. She's like, I did the right thing. And
yeah, they're both
the right thing. We can still be friends.
Yeah, they're both in a good place. She goes in her office and opens the door. And the moment she sees Rupert, her smile just is gone, just drops. And she's still very much affected by him. She wonders how he got past security. He asks about the Hockney that was on the wall that he bought her. She says she got rid of it. That's going to come back later.
Mm-hmm.
And she wonders how he got past security. He tells her it's his old mate, Renee. She says, the creepy old man who lives in the sewers? He says, well, that's rude. He only works in the sewers.
That's a callback to Beard's Night Out, isn't it?
Beard's Night Out, yep.
Yep. Beard After Hours, when Renee let Bass, Paul, and Jeremy through the tunnel and onto the pitch. Yeah. Just like she thought Rupert's in on Akufo's Super League and invites her to come, he thinks it will be good for the game. She says she'll think about it, and he talks about how going through the tunnel made him think about the first time he saw a game at Nelson Road. She responds with, back when they played games by candlelight. That's a good line.
Yeah. Of course, Rupert would think it's good for the game because it's lining his fucking pockets.
Sure.
But, like, Rebecca, even at this point, has clocked it because she's gone, he's only inviting me because I'm a woman. They need at least one 100%. Woman there. Yeah.
It's true. Rebecca asks him what happened with Nate, and he only says, some people just aren't ready when they get their shot. I do not want to take up for Rupert because he's a miserable old man. But, like, he could have really, really buried Nate to her. He could have said some what he said isn't true, but, like, he could have, I don't know. Part of me's still trying to find goodness in this idiot. So
I think him saying that, though, kind of is. Because at the end of the day, it's Rupert trying to save face because Nate's left because of, obviously, the rumors that Trent's kind of mentioned of, like, misconduct at the club.
Yeah.
And maybe Nate's been an informant for Trent before.
Yeah.
Could have come straight from the horse's mouth.
Yeah.
I don't think he would have done because he seems very depressed at the moment, doesn't he? Yeah. But also, Nate has that information on Rupert as well. Like, I know what you got up to. Has he still got a wife at this point, Rupert, with his child?
Yeah. And obviously, like, if Rupert says that, like, oh, he just isn't cut out for it, it's better than going, he left because I tried to get him to cheat on his girlfriend while I cheated on my wife. Like, it's all about saving face for Rupert there as much as it is, like, again, it's like a backhanded thing, isn't it? It's not going, oh, well, he just wasn't good enough, because he can't really say that because they're second in the league.
Yeah.
And West.
Again, Rebecca's not a duck egg. She'd have worked out that something's gone on.
Yeah.
She knows Nate's a sweet kid. Like, yeah, he may have been down a dark path, but she's been with Rupert for years. She knows that 90% of what comes out of his mouth is double talk. Like, it's
yeah. The next scene is Roy in a party hat, just, with that scowl. He does not look happy. It's Phoebe and her mom. They're wishing him happy Uncle Day.
Seen Phoebe in so long that I forgot how delightful she is.
Just like Henry, she's sprouted as well. She's growing.
It's Uncle Day.
It's Uncle Day. And her mom says that any day that annoys Roy is a holiday for me. And,
it's her favorite day of the year after Roy's birthday, and is it Spurgeon's Nacht or something where Germans dress up as monsters to chase winter away? That's it. Yeah. Phoebe goes to answer the door, and by the way, this is Dr. O'Sullivan. We never get a first name for Roy's sister. She's played by Sophia Barclay, and she said, Phoebe told me that Uncle's Day is her favorite holiday of the year. And Roy just says, fuck off. Right. Then she tells her all that stuff and was like, she might be an old soul, but she's proper fucking dweeb, isn't she? Dweeb, isn't she?
Jamie is the guest. First thing out of Roy's mouth, the fuck is he doing here?
I love when Roy hears Jamie's voice's reaction where it's like, what's happening?
Is this an intervention?
Phoebe says, I had to invite your best friend. He isn't my best friend.
Also, how did Phoebe get, like, Jamie's contact information?
No kidding.
Oh, she'll have spoken to
Ted.
Keely.
Oh no, she'll have spoken to
Keely.
Keely.
Keely,
She
yeah.
goes, can you get me in touch with Jamie? I want to surprise Uncle Roy.
And Keely would have gone, yes.
Yes.
Definitely.
This would be fucking hilarious.
Yeah. Keely says, well, you talk about him a lot. You spend every day together. Roy's like, well, he's not. Roy says, Phoebe says, so who's your best friend, Jamie? Jamie says, probably Isaac. Roy goes, fuck off. Like he's upset that Isaac is his best friend.
Again,
Phoebe says,
after the Amsterdam bike thing, they're like a weird, like codependent married couple who kind of hate each other, but can't exist without each other as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we know realistically, Jamie's best friends are Roy and Sam. And Roy's best friends are Jamie and Phoebe.
Yeah, that's fair. Phoebe says, that's a pound, Uncle Roy. Roy says, bill me.
Bill me.
Because they still got the swear jar going. She wants Jamie to give him his gift, and he hesitates, saying it's dumb. Roy goes to open it, and it's the original England kit from the World Cup. He says, your name's on the back there. I got him to change the E to a U. And there's a very long pause as Roy's just holding it, and he's just looking at him. I love it.
But then you can see
so
Phoebe's brain working as well in the background of that shot.
She's
like, you owe me £1. I didn't say it though. Yeah, but you made me think about it, and that's as bad.
Yep.
That kid must be making bank.
Jay's like, yeah, fair play. It's good. It's time for Phoebe's gift. She's made Roy a tie-dye shirt at school, red, orange, yellow, for his name. Her mom is side-eyeing him. Yep. Reminding him.
When she hands it over, Jamie goes, that's nice wrapping paper.
Yeah. Yeah. Her mom's like, so she worked hard on this, and she's really was excited to give it to you. And Roy's just like staring at him, and he's like, thank you. Like he doesn't know what to say.
It's so the way as well, Jamie goes, that's fucking amazing. And then Phoebe just puts a hand out immediately. He goes, worth it.
Worth it.
Love it. Phoebe and her mom go to change clothes for the performance. I'm like, there's a performance? Really?
There's
like
a mission in the performance.
Yeah.
Never hear anything else about it.
Just imagine the two of them.
Oh,
they're doing a little song
Uncle
and
Roy, like as a musical or something. Yeah,
you know for a fact Jamie's gonna be sat there clapping and loving it, and Roy's just gonna be
bring it up at every available opportunity.
I love the way as well Jamie goes, your sister's really fit, and Roy's like, I will cut your eyes out.
Cut your eyes
cut your fucking eyes out. Yeah.
But I think that Ted does really well is that like it doesn't have to show you what that performance is. Because whatever it shows you isn't going to be as good as what you've got in your head. Like,
yeah.
It's just a brilliant thing because you know these characters so well. It's just like you said, Jamie's going to be sitting there full of party rings and like cut triangle sandwiches, having a whale of a time, and Roy's going to be hating it, but can't leave because it's his sister and his niece. It's
true. This next bit is bad, but it's so funny. I popped several times. Sam is walking to the restaurant. You notice on the sidewalk, he's upset, but then he takes in a deep breath and smiles because he's about to go in the restaurant. He's trying to cover his emotions. I'll put on a smile because he's still stressed over the not making the team. And he goes in, the place is empty. And he's told that all the bookings canceled except for one. And of course, it's Edwin Akufo. Sam Richardson, of course.
Edwin's back.
He's so good. And the first thing out of his mouth is pinky dick. I mean, Sam. He does this like 6 times or something.
Yeah. But not only that, everyone else who's with Edwin calls Sam pinky dick. I mean,
yes. Sam. I mean, Sam. Charles Saziba, food blogger for The Times. Charles shakes his hand and goes, Edwin has told me awful things about you. When he shakes his hand. Who says that? Akufo says, Charles is helping me find the best West African chef in London because of starting my own Nigerian restaurant, but meters from here. We're going to serve the finest Nigerian cuisine along with Chicago-style hot dogs because it's my favorite food. Christ.
Oh,
I kind of want to go there. Like,
yeah,
I'll give it a shot.
It's just a wild combination of food. It's like there's a place in York that's like a butcher's on one side and then just delicious cakes and pies on the other side, and it's the smell of raw meat is not in any way conducive to. Oh, you know what? I'll have a scone. But it exists and it's been there forever. This place.
Weird. And
I also
Charles
had to look up what a Chicago hot dog was as well.
Oh yeah,
to see if it was a special thing. It's just a beef frankfurter, topped with yellow mustard, sweet pickle relish, white onion, tomato slices, and like peppers. It sounds quite nice.
It's very good.
The option, I'd rather have some Nigerian food. Like,
both.
I was going to say they could load it like a chili dog.
Ooh.
We've got a hot dog place not far from where I am right now that do a lot of specialty dogs, and one of them is Chicago style. I've been meaning to try it out.
You have to do it, let us know.
I will, yeah. So Charles goes, "Oh, Sam, I mean Pinky Dick." So he corrects it the other way. Mr. Akufo found a tiny piece of glass in his food. I assume our meal will be complimentary. And Sam's like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." You notice that Sam's not suffering these guys at all. He's just
please get out. I'm in no mood for this.
He's like, all right, here you are, dickhead. What do you fucking want?
Yeah.
I love how like absurdly petty Edwin is. Like,
yeah,
it is like to the absurd, like how petty he's being about everything.
Very absurd.
Again, as we saw him at the end of when Sam refused his offer.
Oh, it's one of my favorite scenes the entire show.
Yeah, it is a brilliant scene. But he immediately goes from being like fun and kind of benevolent to a petulant child. And he's clearly not been able to let go of this grudge because he's now got this guy involved. He's planting glass in food. And as we find out, he's been making false bookings in this restaurant just to mess with Sam.
Well, when they're going to leave, they're going to shake hands again, and Charles goes to shake his hand. He goes, "It is nice to put a name to such an ugly, horrible face."
But then he looks at Edwin for approval, and Edwin nods like, "Yeah, I enjoyed that.
You've done well.
You have pleased me."
There'll be a new car outside your house when you get home."
Right. We find out Akufo had booked the whole restaurant and then canceled, and then Richardson starts doing all these voices. One of them is Ringo Starr. He booked a table for four. The Fab Four,
Starkey Party 4, the Fab Four.
Yeah. This is so awesome. This is why it's impossible to hate this guy.
Yeah.
One's an American. I mean, he just keeps going.
As we
bring out all your Nigerian cheese.
Yeah. As we said before we started recording, I definitely feel like they've just got him to do every accent he can, and done like just cherry pick the best ones, and there's probably a sizzle reel somewhere of him like doing everything.
But again, it's just petty.
It is.
Like Sam's a footballer; he can afford to keep that place going.
Yeah.
Like,
oh sure.
But it's just it's just the work of a deranged man.
It's the fact as well, though. He's like a mustache twirling villain. He's like, business is. Yeah, it's like the way he goes, "Oh, business is slow tonight. There's no tables. That is because I booked them all."
Yeah.
If he had a cape on, he would have been out the door.
Right. Yeah.
Well, then as he goes to leave, he turns around and he's also another thing. Was it 20 million?
There's a lot of freaking money.
I gave the Nigerian government 20 million to ensure that you. So there is a little bit of real life stuff with involving this. Not like the Nigerian government being bribed to leave someone off the team, but so in 2010 in the World Cup, Nigeria had their worst performance ever in the World Cup. To the point that the president of Nigeria at the time, Good Luck Jonathan, suspended the national. Great name, by the way.
Amazing. Not as good as Tokyo Sex Whale, but it's up there. Yeah,
it's up there. Yeah. He suspended the national football team from international competition for 2 years, because they basically done this, FIFA banned Nigeria from international football for reasons of political interference. Yeah. So this was on the 30th of June 2010. On the 5th of July 2010, the Nigerian government rescinded the ban of the national football team from FIFA and African Cup of Nations football. But the sanction of the suspension was applied by FIFA 3 months later. On the 4th of October 2010, Nigeria was indefinitely banned from international football due to government interference following the 2010 World Cup. 4 days later, the ban was provisionally lifted until the 26th of October. The day after, the officially unrecognised Players Union, the National Association of Nigerian Footballers, dropped the court case that they had against the Nigerian FA because obviously they allowed the government to basically get involved and like go, nah, fuck you guys. So there is a precedent there that they obviously that's played a part into why they've worded it the way they have, that Edwin paid off the government and not the FA. Because the Nigerian government does have a history of involving itself in the national team where they shouldn't.
I mean, it is also, like you say, Edwin being this Dick Dastardly style villain, like, as well.
Yeah.
And he's, what was it? Does he call him a turd as well?
Yes. You Nigerian turd. I will never stop. Never, ever. And then he goes, no, never. You know, he's sing-songing too. Yeah.
I don't think it's just the accents. I reckon all Sam Richardson's bits, there's multiple takes of this. And he's just gone 100%. Ham on it. Because that what even is that from? Like, it's just do a sing at the end of it. Let's see what happens. Like, it's so good.
He walks out. Francis stays behind. He puts his hands up for a high five. Sam just he does
please don't do this, Francis.
He's down low. He does it, and then he goes here, and he's like, "Please don't do this, Francis." He's like, so then Francis is like that, and then puts his hand back, and he goes to do it, and he has to do this.
Do you think if Sam had just left Francis there, Francis would have just stayed there until he kicked out?
Definitely, yeah.
He would have stayed there. Yeah.
But it's I can't remember the chef's name, but she's just looking at like all of this, going, "What is happening?
What's going on?" Yeah. You imagine Akufo telling Francis in the car, "Don't leave the restaurant till he does the up high, down low, too slow. Be sure." You know. It's awesome. Complete supervillain. He's like Rupert. Yeah, he's like Rupert, but he's a big baby. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's just a big baby. Yeah.
Well, Rupert was working class, wasn't he? Like he made his own wealth, we found out.
Sure.
Whereas Edwin's been born into it and has never known one.
Right.
So he leaves helicopters randomly and forgets where they are. Like
True.
The man does not care.
I forgot about that. So we go back to Nate, who can't sleep. It's hard to move past all that. But that's really good. He checks the window. There's no paparazzi, so he goes to his parents. But he's had to crawl through the window because they moved the key. His mom offers to cook, but he just wants to sleep. And his dad tells her, "Well, if you're cooking, I could eat something."
I love the way though that Nate, like it just goes to like Nate like going through the window. He's knocked pots off. Yeah. And then his dad's just stood there with like a cricket bat by his head, like, don't move. Doesn't ask any questions.
They moved the key. Yeah. That's what he says.
He moved the key, yeah.
Do you want something to eat? No, I just want to go to bed.
But he's still holding the cricket bat to him, even after he realized it's Nate.
You know, we're going to see his parents moving forward a lot through this episode, several times. Notice that every time we see her, she is smiling in every scene we see her.
Her son's home.
She's so happy that he's home.
Yeah. She can look after him.
Yeah.
Doing what moms do. Feeding him.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, to this day, I'll go see mom with the wife and the kid, and the first thing she'll say is, "Anybody want anything?" I'm like, "No, it's 2 o'clock.
Not even through the door." Yeah,
we're good. Yeah.
but no.
So-
Again, with them being Asian, it is just a feed your problems away sort of thing. Because when he's in bed, she brings him in like samosa and burfi as well, like just snacks, just stuff. It's to cheer him up, because who doesn't love a samosa? Yeah.
By the way, kids, we didn't mention this at the beginning here. There's a lot of cuts, so we're going to be jumping a lot through this episode. So
chops around a lot this episode. Yeah.
I'm going to tell you about something, then we're going to go ho ho, and then hey hey, and then boom back to the other. So we see Keely back in her office building. They've already put masking tape over her company name on the wall. She hits the button for the elevator.
Thing to do.
Yeah, it's like petty or something.
Take the slide out, wouldn't you?
Take the slide out, yeah. She hits the button for the elevator. The doors open. She just stands there and they shut. Then we're to Higgens' office. Rebecca comes bursting in like hard.
We get classic Leslie Pratfall.
Yes.
It's spills his tea on himself. I'm sorry for busting in, and then he just knocks it on himself.
Yeah, he puts it down and just spills it on himself anyway.
He's like, it's fine. And then boom, it into his lap after he says it's fine.
It's mostly fine.
It's mostly fine. She wants some advice. And he's like, Keely didn't text you back? She did not. Ted? Can't find him. Sassy? On a plane with no Wi-Fi. Can you imagine that? Disgusting. How about your mother? Are you fucking with me? I'm flattered. Okay, let's do this shit. Like he's ready to go.
Well, now all other options have been exhausted. I guess it's me.
Yeah.
Didn't he say the very same thing to Keely at some point, or am I wrong?
He did say something.
Yes.
Oh, well, no, wasn't it? Keely asked for his advice, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I'd love to help you," or something like that.
And then he asked, I can't remember.
And there was one as well where Jamie asked him for the tickets, and he's again like, he's bowled over that someone's actually asking for his help.
Yeah, he's a wise little owl.
He's a lovely man.
Yeah,
yeah. When he gives advice, it's really good. And she said, "I don't want to be a part of the Akufo League." And he's like, "Oh, why? Because he's an emotionally erratic billionaire with the temperament of one of those kids in Willy Wonka that gets murdered at the chocolate factory." Rebecca's like,
Rebecca.
I don't think that's what happens.
Higgins is fucking scarred for life from Willy Wonka, isn't he?
You never see him again, do you? In the original one? No.
I hate to break it to you, Rebecca, but those children are dead. It's good. Like he's emotionally stunted.
He went to the fudge room.
Yeah.
It will make him into fudge. I know it. Yeah.
It's the callback at the end of the scene though as well, where like Rebecca obviously like, because he makes it so Rebecca, like the thing with Higgins, whenever anyone asks him for advice, he's very smart in the way he makes it so the person is almost like coming to their own conclusion of the advice that he was going to give, which Rebecca does here. And he's like, well, maybe it's worth to just see what they're all about. And she's like, yeah, but I think it's just more about lining the pockets, and they just want me there because I'm a woman. And then she's absolutely right. She's completely 100%. And then he says, well, just go and see what they've got to say. But if people start vanishing, you get out of there.
Yeah, because he tells her, who cares? You have a seat at the table. Yeah, and then the line about people vanishing one by one. That's great. And he's like, he tells her that. Yeah, he's like, do you hear me? And she's just walks out, you know. He looks into his empty cup and then he sucks some tea out of his tie.
So just go and make it another brew. I'll just drink Thai tea. It's fine.
Yeah.
Such a strange man.
We see Keely. She's in the Crown and Anchor. She's got 3 missed calls from Rebecca. This becomes a pattern. She's clearly not answering her phone. And suddenly she gets a text from Jack, who could be bothered to return after Keely's texted her 43 times or whatever the number is now. And Jack gives her...
I was busy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But she wasn't busy enough to tell everybody but Keely that the fucking company was folding.
Yeah.
Wow.
There was nothing I could do, she says. Bullshit.
There was. Yeah.
May walks up and pours her another drink. Keely says, what is it called when you have the opposite of the Midas touch? She says the Midas shift. That's it. That's what I have.
Also, how much spirit did she put in that? That for a free pour, that's at least a treble.
I was going to say there was a lot of ice in there, but it was definitely above weights and measures.
Yeah.
If someone from licensing had been in, May would have fucking got in a lot of trouble right there.
Yeah.
Also, completely sidetracked. Well, not completely, but sort of sidetracked. If there is a Ted Lasso season 4, like being rumored, they've got to bring Annette Badland back. They have to.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
She's one of the best characters in the entire show.
She's a wise old woman.
And she's a national treasure as well. There is that.
Yeah, because the whole ecosystem of the main core cast that's around them can carry, like Baz, Paul, and Jeremy with Beard carried a whole episode with no help. Like, and you're like, oh, it's the 3 bums from the bar, but they were great. Yeah.
Yeah, because they gave you enough character, and then they just fleshed them out enough.
Yes.
So that, Whereas with May, with this, we find out that she's around 40 years. Like, all we've known of May so far is that she's like the no nonsense landlady.
Yeah. So she's
that's all we really know.
The way I look at May is she's like to the Greyhound pub what Higgins is to the club. She's like the sort of like elder statesperson who's like they'll be there when they like turn the lights off and like lock the door for the final time. Like Higgins is going to be there with like part of that club till like his last breath. May's going to be part of that pub till their last breath. It's just like they're integral to the scenes, but also they always impart like wisdom onto whoever they're talking to.
Yeah, she's the wise old woman of it. Like, but also she has some of the best lines. The Midas shits is a tremendous concept. Like, I love it.
She's the Yoda of the show. She's the Yoda. Yeah.
I love as well. Obviously, like, so I know Annette Badland, the actress, like mainly from like kids' TV when I was growing up, and the fact that they've got her as like some like potty mouth like landlady in a pub is fucking brilliant casting.
It is weird to see her doing swears.
Yeah, it's like the absolute opposite of what she like would have been doing for like the last like 20, 30 years.
She Keely asked what's her name. She says May. She's May. I wasn't expecting that. It's a nice name. Short for anything? Maybe. Keely says, and is this your place? Maybe. It's a nice joke. May says a little over 40 years. Keely says, wow, it's impressive. It's hard though, right? Being a boss. She says it has its moments. But for some, it's better to follow your gut than to pretend to be excited by following someone else's. Frame that and put it on your wall. Love it. Keely says, what would you do if someone took it all away from you? May says, like the man once said, when you make it to the top of the mountain, what's left for you but lightning? And her eyes get real big when she says it to Keely, like, Keely's like, wait, is the lightning a good or a bad thing? Depends whether you're ready for it or not. Now I'm going to get you some food because I can't have another sad, skinny girl pass out in my pub.
It affects my Yelp rating.
It affects my Yelp rating, yeah. You know what? This show is so connected and textured. I immediately wondered, wait, what girls is she talking about? So in my head, I'm like, what episode was it? There's probably no one we even know.
No.
It's
going to be on match days.
It's probably one of Beard's dates. I'm just going to say it.
Possibly, yeah. Also, it's a pub in London. There'll be people going in drinking and to excess and stuff. Like, Keely seems fairly battered when she leaves.
Oh, yeah.
Well, she's that drunk. She's doing the Tower of Beer Mats thing, which is never a sign of a sober mind. Yeah,
that's true. We get back at a quick shot of Nate's parents. His mom brings something in, then covers him back up before she leaves. She's happy he's home again, as we said before. At the dog track, we hear Red Right-Handed 2011 remastered version by Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. If you've ever seen Dumb and Dumber, you know this song.
Oh, if you've ever seen anything, because it's in everything. If you ever seen Peaky Blinders, it's a good song, but it's Murder Ballads, tremendous Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds album. Possibly one of my favorites, but yeah.
Everyone's obviously reacting to something as one by one they stop and just stare. Of course, we figured it out. It's Roy wearing the new short. Roy is scowling at everyone. He walks past laughing Liam. He goes, ha, 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 ha. It's so good.
It's the way he stops and looks at him. He goes,
yeah.
But again, laughing Liam.
Laughing Liam.
It's a callback from so many episodes ago.
Yeah, season 1. Yeah.
But yeah.
That's awesome.
Just like, also, it seems as well when he's got this shirt on, Roy walks differently. Like, he looks a lot stiffer as he's doing. I don't know whether it was just me.
He's daring people to say something.
Carrying himself differently.
It's like he's walking more confrontational. It's like,
possibly.
If anyone says a fucking thing about my shirt, I'm going to kill them.
Cut your eyes out.
It's great. He comes to the office and Ted's on his phone, but Beard's reading. He's reading Finding the Mother Tree, Discovering the Wisdom of the Forest by Suzanne Simard, and whispers, bocce balls, when he sees him. He tries to get Ted's attention. He's like, Ted. Oh, yeah. And finally he does, and they both just stare. Roy comes in and says hello and then walks out. Beard and Ted just stand there, and then Trent sees him, and he stands there.
Again, the bit of Roy leaving and Trent appearing is
beautifully
done. He just sidles in like a vampire. It's tremendous.
I love the fact that though he like looks stunned, and then he looks at Beard and Ted, and they're like looking at him, and like they all look shocked, and then they just shrug the shoulders, and go, let's never speak of this again.
Beard and Ted stand up, and they all go and stand there, and they go, it's so.
They all three just begin to nod. Yeah.
Bocce balls. It's Splash.
It is.
Oh, nice. Well
only
done.
because it was. I watched it the other day because it was on telly, and I was like, it's
well done.
It's a fun little bit.
So we have. Go ahead.
Did you say you got the books as well, Jay?
Yeah. So as Tom said, it's Finding the Mother Tree, Discovering the Wisdom of the Forest by Susan Simard. It's an autobiographical account of her role in developing the theory that came to be known as the Wood Wide Web, which is about how trees communicate and share nutrients to support each other, a distinct contrast to prevailing theories that trees, and maybe even other organisms, primarily compete. So it's essentially it's kind of like, obviously, everyone supporting the players who got called up, and also supporting Sam because he didn't get called up when he should have.
Didn't we? Wasn't this talked about in a previous episode? Because if it wasn't, I've heard it somewhere recently.
It's it probably has been, but it is
one of
the
like
things. Like, people used to think that trees competed for light, but they don't. They will actually share stuff because it makes everything better, which is the basis of Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
Again, it's like there's something that happens later on in the episode which kind of like solidifies this point. Obviously, again, like Jamie going over, like Jamie giving Roy the share is a nice thing Jamie's doing to Roy. Jamie going over, Roy being happy for Jamie for getting called up. Jamie going over to Sam to make sure he's okay because he didn't get called up. Everyone supporting everyone else except for Dani and Zero, but don't worry about that.
That's the fun aside.
And and then the bit later, like much later on in the episode, which again, as I say, kind of like solidifies the point with Jamie and Sam. But yeah, it's just a cool little thematic thing.
Easter egg,
yeah, it's cool. We have two quick scenes. One of Keeley making a house of you call them beer mats. I call them coasters. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Is that what you call them?
So the beer mats, because you'd largely get the cardboard ones in pubs. For beer.
They absorb nothing. they just spread liquid around the table.
Are they cork or are they cardboard? Because
they're cardboard. They're just pressed. They're just pressed cardboard.
Wow.
You get them from breweries and stuff. You'll get a wedge of them, and they'll have competitions and stuff on them, and you just bid them at the end of the night.
One thing which I think it's still like a thing is that because of COVID, with like the fact that it like soaks up in it, you can't like clean it properly off like the surface. They were actually banned for a bit.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Because as you know from working in a bar, Joe, like they'll cling to the fucking table.
Oh yeah, if they get soggy enough, they will. You have to scrape them off with your nails. Yeah,
and because it was so because it's literally so difficult to remove, and with the COVID germs, it was like, well, can't do it.
We also get to see Nate's mom bringing a food to a closed door. The camera never goes up. The door's open. The food's taken in, and then it's replaced by a tray of dirty dishes. So he's obviously still eating. Back at the dog track, the guys are watching the Canadian team versus Mexico, providing the voices. I didn't know this on the first shot.
No,
the voices
I didn't.
Of the Canadian announcers of the match were Ryan Stiles and Colin Mockery from Whose Line Is It Anyway? The show's been on the air for like 38 years or something. It's still on, I think. Wow.
Yep. Yeah,
and
I remember watching that as a youth, as a child.
They're so
Friday
good.
Nights.
You know, Lanny, when Mexico comes up here in our kitchen, the record books go right out the window. Well, for sure, Bruce. It's a tough game, but there's a begrudging mutual respect between the two teams, eh? Oh, they go together like nachos and poutine. Oh, now you've made me hungry. That's terrible. That's so terrible.
It's terrible patter. Like, it's absolute
so
garbage. Bad. But I reckon because it's Colin Mockery and Ryan Stiles, they've just gone, here's a clip.
Yeah,
just put some over it and drop it in.
We did some stuff. There you go.
Yeah,
it's love
100 takes, and this was the best one.
I'd love to see if like Canadian commentary on football is really like that, because they're not
really that vanilla. Country. Yeah.
Hey, yeah.
Oh my! You notice that when the camera's painting over, Isaac takes his shades down and look at Roy's shirt and then puts them back on.
Roy shoots him a glance.
It's great. So the part we've all been waiting for, Dani's driving the ball down the field and he kicks it straight into, no hesitation, into Van Damme's face. The guys in the room are all go, oh, like
right in the face, and it cuts to Van Damme bleeding out. Like
Dani just looks at him and just walks away. You notice even his teammates come up to check on him. Dani just walks away. Like
that's what you get.
That's what you get. Oh no, right in the nose. Straight in the sniffer. That almost seemed deliberate. And Ted said Dani kicked the crap out of it too. The commentator's like, for sure, Bruce. He's a different fella in a Mexico shirt. That's a lot of blood, for gosh sakes. Hey, I apologize for the language there, folks. What language?
The Canadian, they're like inherently polite.
That was so much fun,
isn't it? But yeah,
it's
just the fact that it's just he hoofs him in the face and then walks off. Wow,
does he even
bleeding out? No, it bounces right off his face, and
because he saved it. He saved it with his face.
Van Damme drops to the ground and they stop play because
I was gonna say
crimson mask on.
At least if he at least if he's doing that, make sure he fucking scores the goal.
But that's the point of it. Dani didn't want to score; he just wanted to hurt him.
Wait, Joe, oh my God, how did I miss this? That's the same foot that killed the dog. Yeah. And that's the guy that launched the ball straight into Van Damme's face.
Yeah.
Football is life, but sometimes also football is death. Dr. Sharon did this.
Yeah.
Dr. Sharon made the evil Dani.
She's guilty of so much.
That's so good. Wow. That's fun. And one more thing is Van Damme, when he's laying there, he's just like looking at him as he's walking off, like, what have you done to me? Oh, it's great. So in Rebecca's office, her phone goes off, and when she goes to find it, she pulls out the Army Man and the green matchbook. And on the phone is a text from those two things go all the way back.
Yeah.
On the phone is a text from Rupert reminding her about the meeting. She texts back that she'll be there. And boy, Rupert's glad to see that, let me tell you. So
what's interesting about that is obviously she looks at them before she almost as if she's looking at them to say, what would Sam and Ted do in the situation?
Yes.
Very good.
Yeah.
They would go to stop it from happening, essentially, to derail it.
Yeah.
And make an enemy of Edwin Akufo again.
It's easy done.
Yeah, it doesn't take much. Yeah, it doesn't take much. Roy goes to leave. You notice how hard Roy exits the building? Blam! With the doors.
Yeah.
And he walks by Kenneth. This is Mark Campner as Kenneth, the hippie bus driver, who reveals his own tie-dye shirt and goes, "Hey, twins." It's awesome.
Shit, brother.
Roy's like, "Oh, for fuck's sake."
But again, right, this is the start now of like Roy realizing that he has changed, because he takes it off and throws it on the floor, screams off in his Jeep, and then's like, goes back, picks it up, still sat in his car with no shirt on, which I don't know, whatever. But like, old Roy would have just left it, but his niece made him. He loves his niece. He's a better person, and this is the start of that wrapping up Roy sort of part of it.
We see Keely out walking. Rebecca's still texting her, but she's still not responding. She sees something catches her on a display window, and then we cut from that. I told you, cut scenes. Back at Nate's parents' house, his mom's brought a tray of dishes back to the kitchen. She is smiling through the entire time as she walks in front of that cam. I really caught that. And his dad is just frowning like he always does at the table, you know. And I'm surprised to see that didn't get weird.
It's his dad, and we know that his dad's always been hard on Nate.
Yeah.
Like, and you can't do this forever. You can't sit in your room with your mum bringing you food. You've got to face the real world at some point. And he's like, how? I think the way I read it was that, how long do I give him?
Yeah.
I did until like later in the episode, and then it kind of explains itself.
Yeah.
Like,
but we don't know that at this point.
Oh no, yeah, of course. Yeah. But it explains itself, but also it explains why Nate's the way Nate is, but not for the reason we think.
Yes.
It's very interesting.
It's again, it's one of those bits where I was like, oh, my heart.
Yeah.
So Rebecca is prepping for this meeting. She's in the mirror and she looks, and there's a little kid in the mirror. It's her. And then she makes herself big. This is all the way back to season 1 when they gave Nate the advice.
Yep. And she doesn't gob on the mirror either.
Not that time. The little kid is
we'll
important.
See again.
Yeah, we will see that little girl again.
Yeah. But again, it is just a beautiful bit of, even though Rebecca is Rebecca, you know, she's a no nonsense, takes no guff from no one. Like, she still has to perform this ritual before going dealing with all these old farts. Like, she knows what it's going to be like. The old boys club, all of them sitting around, like, slamming each other's dicks in the door. But yeah, you've got to prepare yourself mentally for that, because she knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's just one of those really touching scenes, because she seems genuinely shocked, like, to see herself as that little girl. Like, it's a nice bit.
It's really good. Roy has walked Phoebe to school. She tells him he looks nice. He's still wearing the shirt. And this, he sees Mrs. Bowen. We haven't seen her in a while.
And, you look nice, Uncle Roy. You think?
Yeah. It's Miss Bowen. She says it's Coach Kent. He says, hello, Miss Bowen. He says, you don't have to call me Miss Bowen. You can use my first name. He goes, okay. You don't know it, do you? No. It's like Leanne. It's like, I like your T-shirt. You ought to protest the Vietnam War. That's a great line. I'm using that. Oh, I'm using that. Roy tells her Phoebe made it for him. She says, you look different. Well, yeah, I don't normally dress like a fucking clown. That's great. No, I don't mean the shirt. I mean you. You seem lighter than last time I saw you. Less stuck. He's like, stuck? She's like, yeah. He says, hold on. Weren't you flirting with me last time I saw you? Bowen says, I teach kids. I don't mind cleaning up a mess. I just hope that mess didn't cause too much damage. It's awesome. Roy says,
Then Roy gets the penny finally drops in Roy's brain.
He figures it out. You notice that he says, fudge. Not fudge, because he remembers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good to see you. And then he leaves, and she's like, I don't mind cleaning up a mess. Smooth move, fuckwitch. Like, cause she really liked him.
Yeah, she was hoping he was going to ask her out on a date there.
Yeah,
for sure.
Hey, I like Miss Bowen. I'm just saying. Yeah.
Yeah, she's great.
Oh,
but,
yeah. Again, someone we didn't see enough of, but also did see enough of because there's not enough there to flesh out really. But yeah. It was just there going. Oh well, blown that. Right, everyone in.
It would have been funny to maybe have seen her and Roy go on like a really awkward date or something.
Yeah.
Like in season 1, and you can see like Roy's clearly just like just confused by the whole thing. Like, why am I on this date with Phoebe's art teacher?
Can I curse? What's going on? Yeah. Back at Keely's old office, she sees Barbara. Barbara's wearing a green tracksuit with the word "juicy" on the ass.
Nice tracksuit. I like clothes that tell the truth.
Yes. What the hell are we doing? I mean, look, I don't know if it happened over there, but in this country, women used to wear that crap all the time.
Yep. Velour
Jesus.
tracksuits with words emblazoned on the bottom in diamonds. Yes. Yeah.
And
fun words though, like rock or like spatula.
Set your clocks back in a week or something informative, something that's there to help. I don't know.
Yeah, but it's on your back. How are you going to see it?
That's fair. Yeah.
You could put back and front on them so you know which way around to wear them, I guess.
No, that works. Yeah. Run one down
this
one leg,
is why
one
we're
down
not
the
a
other.
fashion house. Yeah.
It's possible. Yeah. She thanks Barbara for her work and gives her a snow globe. And she says, well, thank you, but I have to buy it or it doesn't count. So she's going to pay her. And she's like, well, it's actually 60 quid. And she's like, I'm going to need a receipt. The sooner the better. This whole thing is so awkward.
So
it's so good as well. Go on.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say what I love about this, though, is it kind of shows like Keely's learned from Barbara. Like the fact that normally Barbara went to give her like a tenner and Keely would have just took it and been polite about it. Whereas now it's like, well, actually, it cost me more than that, Barbara, because she's more like financially conscious. It's just like a little thing, but it's just like.
But then even Barbara's like, I think you overpaid. You did overpay for that. It's not even glass. It's a plasticky touristy thing.
Yeah.
But also as well, Keely treating Barbara like a person and not like a worker drone.
Yep.
Like you can see that like really resonates with Barbara. Like almost in her face as if she's gonna miss being around Keely because Keely's actually treated her like a person and not just like the person who handles her figures.
Yeah. And she's took an interest in her. She's remembered she collects snow globes. And also, here's the thing for you to remember me by. Yeah. Because I'll remember you. It's a genuinely nice bit, but Barbara can't help but be Barbara and was like, I need a receipt.
So awkward.
I'll email you it. Sooner the better. Yeah.
Yes. God.
She's so fucking awkward. I love it.
Brilliant. I love her.
Yeah. Keely sees the tiger wrapped in bubble wrap, and then she turns off KJPR sign. Back at Nate's parents again, she comes in and tells them they're going to the farmer's market. We assume he hasn't said a word this whole time, only laid in bed, ate food, and then went back to bed. Rebecca's at the meeting. You know what? It occurred to me here also. It's like a breakup. It's like he's been dumped. Like he's going through the grieving process of a breakup with a girl almost.
Well, it's I suppose it's like the way he saw it when he went there was the grass is greener on the other side. He's got there. He's got his dream job and he's got everything that he sacrificed. Like he burned so many fucking bridges to get there. And he's realized now, like, that was my one opportunity. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be.
And now I've got nothing.
And I can't go back to Richmond, which is what I want to do, because I upset everyone there and I left being an arsehole and being, like, corrupted by all these, like, delusions of grandeur that Rupert was giving me.
So
yeah.
It's a bit of an existential crisis. What do I do now?
Yeah.
I've got Jade, and that's fine, but she's in Poland putting light bulbs in. Who is there to talk me down? Because my mum just brings me food. My dad's my dad. Yeah. I'm completely alone.
Yeah. When he did have a whole support system till he left it behind.
Yeah.
You know,
he can't even talk to the wolf pack or whatever they were called because he doesn't work there anymore.
The Love Hounds.
I
always get it wrong. Yeah.
And I mean, Disco wants fuck all to do with him as well.
Well, yeah, but think he would have showed up if he asked him. He was, you'd probably get him in trouble, but.
Love Hounds. I love when he tried to announce it to the group and they're all like, what? That's great.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just him on his own. And now his parents leaving the house. He's completely alone. He can't leave the house because I'm assuming the paparazzi are still knocking about, waiting to find out.
Well, they'll be waiting at his flat. They probably
his
won't
flat
know
still, yeah, because
they probably won't know
he's night, didn't he?
Yeah, he's at his mum and dad's. But yeah, it's interesting. Obviously, the way the direction this then goes in.
Yeah. Rebecca's at the meeting and Rupert comes in behind her. Rupert thanks her for accepting the invitation. She says, how could I resist the chance of having a bunch of old men speak directly to my chest? She's not wrong. Then we go from that. Well, actually, we're still there. My apology. We're still there. We get to meet Mrs. Bread.
So this is what I was alluding to before.
Yeah.
Because obviously she comes in and she says about like Rupert's what is it?
Fecalist.
Yeah, that's it. And obviously she's just like a very, very like la-di-da, plain middle-aged woman who's like obviously been doing this for years, but doesn't really have like the sort of discretionary tactics that someone of Rupert's sort of like wealth would want. But even Rebecca brings it up, going, "What happened to like the?"
Well, that's again, but I think with the accusations of bad things happening, I'm assuming that the other PA was let go for manic pixie girl, did she call her?
Yeah.
And he's had to hire a sort of, not because he's not unattractive, like, but it's to withdraw temptation from him as well.
But again, he's already been caught, like trying to have it on with it.
Oh yeah.
What if she's like left because obviously he's been abusing his power to what I mean?
There's many possibilities with it.
Yeah, there's a lot of smoke to fuel the fire.
Yes.
In that situation, there's a lot of signs pointing towards Rupert being the problem here.
Yeah.
And obviously
one
Rebecca,
of those situations where Sassy would have been a good person to have in the room.
Yeah. But obviously also Rebecca, knowing what Rupert's like, knows 100% it's Rupert.
Oh yeah.
It's just literally confirming her suspicions.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He introduced her. By the way, this is Katie Poulter, who's Miss Bread. I love that last name. I don't know why I love that name.
No, I've never met a living person whose surname is Bread.
Never in my life. She finally leaves, and Rebecca asks, the corporate pixie dream girl. He says, skewed, dramatic. That's all he says.
There you go. That's all the evidence we need.
All we need to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They go into the room, and it's all white-haired old men. Immediately jumped out at me. I'm like, is this a nursing home? What am I looking at?
Rich old white dudes. Yep.
Yeah. He finally introduces her as the owner of AFC Richmond, and she does a double take when he does it because it's always been my ex
Rebecca,
or something.
My wife. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think with that, obviously, he knows that he's got to get her on board if he wants this to go through. Like she's the kind of like sticking point. And again,
she's the keystone for it. If she goes for it, all these old men are going to go for it because all they want is more money. So they can keep buying illegal organs on the black market to keep themselves alive.
Yes, but also she's again, as she said, they want a woman there because it makes it look like it's just not a load of rich old white guys who are funding this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Token. Well, I mean, Edwin says it's nice not to be the only
the only minority
in the room. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the first one she talks to is James A. Stevens, portraying Lord Robert Wadsworth, who comes up and says,
did he say what clubs these guys are tied to at all?
No. We only know one. Well, we don't know one. One, as we suspect, is an analog for someone else. And that happens in a bit.
Which we'll get to that in a moment.
Yeah. But this guy's like, when Rupert told me you were joining us today, I was truly excited. Then when you walked in that outfit, I remember why. Jesus Christ, man. What the hell's wrong with you?
Because that's how these people are.
Yeah.
So
she's a million billion years old and she's an attractive lady.
In a work situation, a guy that was
Blue Chew.
a guy that I was working with and not working directly with is like, let's go get a bite of lunch. I was like, all right. So he looks just like this guy, old white hair. This guy has since passed on. So, rest in peace. No disrespect. But when we went to get a bite of lunch, he called every waitress or every server honey and darling. And I got really uncomfortable. And I'm not even the one he's talking to. But I don't know. It just felt like at the time, it's like, man, it's 2021. Why are we still talking like this to grown women?
Yeah.
And he did not mean anything by it. He was a really good dude, but it's just how he talked, Ugh, not for me.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. It is weird. But again, that's probably just how he is. It could have been, Whereas this, it immediately goes as soon as she walks in. Yeah. This old chap's rubbing his legs in anticipation. Like it's,
yeah.
The old Vic Reeves.
The old Vic Reeves. Yeah, it's inappropriate and gross.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. For sure. Yeah, and remember the warning that Higgins gave about the Willy Wonka situation. When Akufo comes in, he is wearing a really nice purple suit.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
That didn't go unmissed.
No, I was like, Higgins is a prophet.
Yes. He comes in and whispers to her that bit about happy not being the only minority in the room, and she rolled her eyes. I'm like, stop. Stop. I'm making, I don't know. I read a lot into that Akufo's kind of a douche. He's probably just as douchey as the white guys in the room, let's be honest, but in a different way. But it's like, I'm just stop pointing out that I'm female. Can we just get on with it? That's what I'm thinking,
Yeah, it's almost like he's because obviously his history with Rebecca, it's kind of like friends close, enemies closer sort of thing, where he knows as well as Rupert does and as well as all the other guys in that room do that she's kind of like the linchpin of making this thing happen, because again, they don't want it to just look like it's just a bunch of old white guys trying to get more power.
Yeah.
And how do they do that? They have some diversity in that, and it's
one diversity.
Well, two
token they call that, I believe.
Yeah.
But also, it harks back to stuff Rebecca said earlier about being made to feel uncomfortable in her own skin. Because she's hyper aware of the fact that she is a woman in a room full of men.
Well,
who are
she's
only
not
viewing her as a woman.
She's not allowed to not remember she's a woman. She's reminded every 2 seconds she's female. And then when Akufo addressed them, gentleman and lady, and by the second time he does that, she's rolling her eyes again. You're like, stop.
Yeah.
Just use another word.
Yeah.
People.
Folks. Yeah. I'm sure you're all very anxious to get started, but as my father would say, never talk business on an empty stomach. Please take your seats. Let us enjoy some delicious Ghanaian bites, as well as some Chicago-style hot dogs, as enjoyed by the likes of Scottie Pippen, Obama, and Ferris Bueller.
Ferris Bueller's not even a real person.
Oh, yeah. He's watched American TV growing up. That's what's going on here.
Yeah. But it was just the callback to the hot dogs, and also the fact that he just went and Ferris Bueller. I was like, this man's insane. He's something's gone wrong in his brain tank. Yeah.
Yeah. I just imagine him taking over the broadcast of every TV in the city and saying, I want $1 billion or I'll hit the button and we'll launch the missile, We have to send in James Bond or whoever. We see Roy in a shop. I'm sorry. First, Nate's looking through old family pics. Did you guys notice it was mostly him and his sister and maybe his mom? I don't remember even seeing his dad in those pics.
His dad had been one of the photos.
That's Tom looking for more reasons to be upset at the dad. But no,
dads operate the camera. That's always fine. The rule. Yeah.
That honestly, most of the pictures in my family, it's like, where's Tom at? Yeah, he's. Yeah. By the way, I always pull Christmas duty every year because we always get footage of people opening their gifts, and I've got like 4 sitting here. It's like, Tom, what'd you get? I don't know. I'm recording. What do I know? What's going on? You know what I mean?
Get a drone.
Get a drone. Let's move around the room.
Bomb it around your front room, yeah.
Yeah, we see Roy in a shop. He's buying something. We don't know what it is yet. Funny little symmetry with Keeley buying something, then Roy buying something. 2 separate moments. Back at the meeting, it's time to get down to business. There's still one thing to take care of. First, Akufo stops. The room gets quiet, and everyone starts looking at this guy named Nikolai. And apparently, now, Jay, you can school us here as the football guy, but what I found is that maybe he's an analog for Roman Abramovich. Is that right? So what's the story here?
So Roman Abramovich was the owner of Chelsea when the conflict with Russia and Ukraine had started. Obviously, a lot of Russian businesses were pretty much just boycotted and they weren't allowed to trade in the UK. That included Roman Abramovich as the owner of Chelsea. So he was basically told he had to kind of seize power of the club. He had to relinquish his stake of the club. So they very, very, very haphazardly and quickly sold it to a conglomerate led by an American billionaire called Todd Boehly. Don't know if you're familiar with him. I'm not too sure what else he's tied to. He's extremely rich, and they spent a lot of money since. But it's essentially, this is kind of what it was, where he was told under no uncertain terms, you can no longer own this football club. You must sell it. And then I'm pretty sure that the funds from selling the club went to a large amount of it went to the Ukrainian relief aid. Because of part of what the whole deal with them selling the club was. It was basically, it's that around this time was when that was actually happening in real life. It was about 18 months ago when that happened, so this would have been around the time that the show actually released. So that's why they've done that little thing. But also, again, it's Higgins foreshadowing someone's left the room and disappeared.
Yep.
Well done. Well done. Yeah, he says the whole Russia thing is not a good look. He's going to attempt to talk, and this guy cannot get out of the room. Push.
Again.
Push. He's it's a pull.
It goes both ways.
Pull. Yeah.
No, I was here yesterday. It goes both ways.
It's not going to do any good. You're not. I don't just pull. Yeah. It takes forever.
And again, it goes on a bit too long, but yeah.
Right. Joe, do you reckon that was a little nudge, wink, wink to
possibly
given that he's in the show, bit. And it's the first sketch in the first episode.
Yeah, could be. Well, when he did it, I was like, "This is clearly a bit from." Yeah, I think you should leave now. Yeah.
He goes to address the group, and once again, okay, gentlemen, and one lady. I'm like, Jesus. And I won't read the whole thing, but basically he's talking about the Akufo League, and that's what he's calling it. A global football league made up of only the best teams. Yes, it will cost the fans a bit more, and some may not be able to afford it, but those who can will see the cream of the crop. Each matchup, a clash of titans, each game a dream, an unreal dream. In the beginning, some people will hate it because some people hate change. Remember one time we only rode horses and hated the idea of automobiles. Now we can't live without our cars, and the hot dogs we just ate were 85% horse meat. And they're all like, ugh.
One guy just pushes it away. You've eaten it, mate. There's nothing you can do now. It's in your tummy.
Mate, they're rich. They definitely fucking eat horse.
Oh yeah, they have it delivered to their home.
You live in the UK, yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, we have probably statistically eaten horse.
Yeah.
Change is inevitable. Change is inevitable. Why should football not change? Why should it not evolve? Why should your profits not grow exponentially? And they murmur. They like that. Yes, the fans will protest. They will whine. They will make up mean-spirited but admittedly clever parody songs using our surnames and sing them outside the buildings that we own. That was awesome.
Yep.
That is something that happened as well.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep.
In time, they will come to embrace a superior product, just so we've all embraced the automobile, the smartphone, the squatty potty.
The squatty potty.
Guy's a menace.
It's so silly.
It's just the three best inventions he could come up with.
Ever.
Yeah.
Phone, fair enough. Yep. Right, car, yeah, fair enough.
Even say the Chicago hot dog.
And a thing that moves your legs slightly higher up when you go for a dump.
Yeah. What's interesting about Edwin's point is that obviously, like, a Super League and more money in the game is detrimental because it means that they're going to raise the prices to be able to fund paying the players' wages and whatnot. Unfortunately, despite that, you do find that fans are begrudgingly paying it. So it's a vicious cycle until like someone calls them on the bullshit. They're going to keep doing it, which is what this scene kind of symbolizes.
By the way, Sam Richardson is fantastic. He is.
Excellent.
You really don't want to like him because he's not a great person. God, I was howling at this. I couldn't help it.
He's fantastic. I think it's the thing of because everyone else in the show is so grounded and real.
Yeah.
And he is, like Jay said, like a pantomime villain. Like he's in a purple suit feeding people horse meat. Like it's insane. Doing this, so Mr. Bond, I get you wondering what my plan is. Sort of thing. Like he's monologuing. He's syndroming.
Well, he's so expressive with everything as well.
Yeah.
Like when he's so like overly dramatic, and then obviously when Rebecca kind of like calls him on it, and his eyes like widen as if to say, "How dare you?"
What did you say? Yeah.
Yeah.
Francis begins handing out the first 5 years projections, which they already have. Rebecca finally gets a text from Keely, who apologizes for not responding and then reminds her, "You've got this." And at one point, they were all just a bunch of little boys, which helps tremendously. So back with Nate, he's playing, is it Spiegel? I'm Spiegel by Angela DeBeau Le Pita on the violin. Nick Muhammad is actually playing the violin he grew up with, having learned to play as a child and continuing to play with the orchestra at St. Aidan's College at Durham University. He is accompanied by his wife, Rebecca, on the piano. So that's actually him.
But we get all these little bits of him going around the house that he finds like magic equipment.
That's right, he found it,
because Nate Muhammad is a magician, as well. Like, and a Dracula as well, as we found out from Taskmaster. Like, so
we didn't see him walk by any mirrors, did we?
We did not.
I want to know how they managed to CGI him into the mirors
when he was scobbing on him. It was glass. The camera was behind it. You see,
because he's obviously a Dracul.
Yeah, and he broke into his mum's house at night. Didn't go out in daylight. Yeah, see, it's all. No, it's not.
He hasn't gone out one time. One time.
His mum's probably invited them round for dinner at some point, so he's already invited in.
Oh, there you go.
Got to it.
See,
got to the bottom.
Done and done.
He had the blanket over his head when the curtains were open. See, it's enough. It's not.
We see the meeting.
The swerves of vampire.
We see the meeting and everyone's chatting, and Rupert says, "Well, what do you think?" And that's when she looks and sees little boys at the table, and her.
This is a lovely little bit of her seeing herself as a child, but having the strength that she has now against these men who are weak children. It's a good juxtaposition of the two. And again, her speech here
fantastic.
Is Bernard right on. Yeah.
Is this a fucking joke? Excuse me. What do you think you're doing? Just stop it. I mean, how much more money
Stop
do any
it.
of you really
Like a-
need?
Like a mum, though.
Like a
Stop
mom?
it.
Yes. Yes. Why would you ever consider taking something away from people that means so much to them? This isn't a game. Football isn't a game. Then we cut to the guys at the dog track watching England on the TV. Roy's trying to write something. Jamie's wearing Sam's number.
Yeah,
that got
was
me.
nice.
That was awesome. We're in 24, and then the announcers even called it, and Sam really enjoyed that. And
well, it's the way Sam's like sort of like looking a bit like he's not like disinterested, but he's obviously like, yeah, whatever. And they sort of like tap him, go, Sam, look.
And that got Roy back to writing where he committed this time because he couldn't figure it out before. So good. It's one of those amazing things in life that can make you feel shit one moment, and then, like it's Christmas morning the next. It has the ability to make heroes and villains out of ordinary men. Nate's playing the violin, by the way, still. People love this game. My father loved this game. You all used to love this game, I'm sure of it. I knew this little boy, working class from Richmond, and he loved football so much, he used to sneak into the matches because his family just couldn't afford the tickets. And one afternoon, he finally got caught, and the security guard smacked him around the face and knocked him on the ground. Rupert's chuckling, so we figured it out. And she says, but that little boy stood up, smiled, kicked the security guard in the bollocks, and ran away, never to return until 25 years later when he walked in and bought the entire club. And on the first day as owner, he went and found that same security guard and gave him a pay raise without any explanation. Just because we own these teams doesn't mean they belong to us. And I don't want to be part of something that could possibly destroy this beautiful game, because I would hate for all those little kids and grown-ups out there to ever lose access to that beautiful, passionate part of themselves. I got two things here. One, I got three things. One, this was freaking awesome. Two, this is the same lady that wanted to destroy this team because her ex used to own it. Number three, Rupert at one point could have been saved because Rupert would have fired that guy that we know now.
Yeah.
So the other thing as well is that Rebecca has turned the tables on Rupert. She's saying exactly what he wants to hear to get him to do what she wants him to do, which is turn down Edwin Akufo.
Yep.
And also, I believe I did Google this. I couldn't find anything that says it is, but it's very similar to a very famous quote from Sir Bobby Robson, who was a former fantastic footballer, former England football manager. Sorry, former England manager. He managed Newcastle, Ipswich, Barcelona, PSV, lots of big clubs. And it was this. So he says, "What is a club in any case? Not the buildings or the directors or the people who are paid to represent it. It's not the television contracts, ghetto clauses, marketing departments, or executive boxes. It's the noise, the passion, the feeling of belonging, the pride in your city. It's a small boy clambering up the stadium steps for the very first time, gripping his father's hand, gawping at that hallowed stretch of turf beneath him, and without being able to do a thing about it, falling in love."
Yep.
Wonderful.
And that's like that's the first thing that came to my head when Rebecca's doing that speech, and it definitely had the same sort of like heart to it, for sure.
Yeah. But you got that, and you've got Nate's violin thing in the background. It's just this swirl of emotion in it, and it's a really beautiful bit.
Yeah.
So good. Akufo says, "What a lovely speech. Now, who wants to make a lot of money?" Next thing we know, he's storming out of the room. Francis is going with him. We go.
I love the way.
Very
I
quick.
love the way Francis is going out and he's like wiping his hand down as if he's like shook people's hands, even though he's clearly not.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. We go back inside. Everyone's covered in food. I mean, covered in food. We see Rupert laugh. Dude, I've never seen Rupert actually belly laugh and really mean it. And it's genuine, not condescending. He is really cracking up. And again, I think there was a time this guy could have been a real human. I don't know where it went wrong. Maybe it went wrong when he became an owner. I don't know. I mean, it's still on him, but you know.
Do we know how he made his money? Has it ever been?
I don't think so.
Organ harvesting.
No. I thought that. Keeping these old men alive. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, let's face it. Like, it's the whole adage that money corrupts people.
Mm.
Like Rebecca in that scene's humanized Rupert to the point that he once was a good man. He once was a humble working class man. And he's earned these riches and they've corrupted him.
Yeah.
And now he's the guy we see here who's completely irredeemable. He's too far gone.
But there is this moment here where he is laughing and she's laughing and all these old men are like, what have you done? We could have made so much more money to hunt people for sport or whatever it is rich old white men do.
Yeah.
But these two are like, these two here are just like, yeah, this was a terrible idea. And there's almost a bit of Rupert that's like, thank you for bringing me back from that edge, because I was prepared to fully 100% in. And, you know, thanks for that little reminder. And there is a genuine moment there between them, I think. Yeah. All the old duffers shuffle out, apart from that guy that's like, the last time I saw you that happy was on your wedding night. You couldn't wait for me. Just leave. Don't. It's gross. Yeah. Go back to your pod where they
go back to your pod.
Douse you in stem cells. Yeah.
Yes. Lizard people.
Back to your back tank.
Yeah. I couldn't think of the word.
That's great. What a great Star Wars. God bless it.
Yeah, it's always there.
It's always there. Well done. So before we get that, we go back to Nate. His dad has scared the life out of him by just being there. He made up a story about acid reflux, which he doesn't have, so he could go back home. He says, I'm glad this happened. It's emotional and it'll get you. But part of me is like, this guy's never shown a depth of feeling at all.
The whole thing is that's where Nate gets his sort of like anxiety from. It's not just the fact that he gets it from the way his dad treats him. He gets it because that's the way his dad is. But his dad bricks it up and he bottles it up and stiff upper lips it because that's what his generation do. Because he's too scared to like tell Nate how he really feels and have Nate think that he doesn't have to work for things and he doesn't have to earn things when all he wants is for Nate to be happy.
You were afforded opportunities I didn't have and I didn't want you to waste them.
This is a great moment. Yeah.
It is that thing of also I'm assuming first or second generation immigrant parents like that. You always want better for your children than what you had, and you will push them and push them as hard as you can. But then he says, but I didn't know how to raise a genius. You see things that other people don't. And that is a blessing and a curse.
Yeah.
And you can see it. And he's
Nate. Dumbfounded. Did you see him? He's just like, I can't believe I'm hearing this.
When he says, keep playing. I spent a long time. I've missed hearing you play. And he's like, you never. Yeah. Nate's very aggressive at the start of it. And he's like lashing out because he's got no one else to lash out at.
Sure.
And he also, I think, holds his dad, rightly or wrongly, guilty for making him the way that he is. And yes, he did, but it's not his fault. It's just how he is. And it's that beautiful bit of, I didn't know how to raise you.
Yeah.
It's a wild bit in it because everything in Nate's head suddenly kind of goes, oh,
he's
it
connecting.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And Nate's needed this for a long time. We've been talking for we talked all of season 2 basically about the turn that was coming. And then we talked all this season about the turn that was made and how, he's on the other side. But man, we definitely got this guy back now. Like he's back. You know what I mean? Ooh. Really good stuff. Great moment. Probably the best moment. One of the best moments of the show, I think. I really love this a lot. Back at the meeting, everyone's left. This is what you were referencing earlier, Joe, except for Rupert, Rebecca, and Robert. Robert says that creepy line. And then Rupert and Rebecca are laughing about the food and reminiscing a bit. And then he tries to kiss her. I'm like, what?
Completely thinks, all right, I'm back in it.
So the first time I saw this, I remember being like, "Oh no!"
Yeah,
but it's the fact that Rebecca instantly is like, "The fuck are you doing?"
Yeah.
You've completely misread this.
Yeah,
but then she just
again,
kind of.
It shows Rupert hasn't changed.
Oh no, he can't.
He can't.
And also, that's kind of like the smoking gun that all the rumors Trent was hearing, the whole PA thing. The fact that Rupert there and then was willing to just go for that.
Cheat on his wife with his ex-wife.
Yeah, with his ex-wife. And it's
I don't know whether that's allowed. You get one. I don't know. But yeah. But it's like that Rebecca pulls away and walks off, and he's left dumbfounded. And like, Rebecca's won the war. That's it. It's done.
It's over.
Yeah.
He wants her, and he can't have her. And that's it.
Yeah.
Like he has no control over her anymore. Like Jareth the Goblin King. Like, it's done.
It took 32 episodes of storytelling for her to finally be able to say, "I'm done. I'm out."
Yep.
You know what I mean? Yeah. This doesn't hurt me like it did before. I'm okay now. Took a long time.
Yeah.
Took a long time. Roy's at Keely's door and is trying to slide a letter under her door. Just like what we saw earlier with Nate and his dad, she scares the life out of him.
What are you doing there? Which I'm sure she's done before.
Yeah,
she has.
She can't read his handwriting, so hands it back to her. And the letter says,
she can, and she wants him to hear it. She wants to hear it.
That's fair.
I love the fact though. He goes, "What are you doing here?" And she goes, "I live here."
I live here. But it's midday.
Yeah.
But
that's good.
Again, though, like that, because then she's like really sort of like insecure about obviously what's happened. But then Roy's like, yeah. But then Roy's kind of like, well, I've obviously come here to apologize, so I might as well like give her that. And then it's the fact as well. You see him writing. I was like, there's no way anyone can read that writing. He's got like doctor's handwriting.
It looks like my handwriting. That. It's
I
like
mean,
a spider that fell in an inkwell. Yeah.
He got into the game when he was, what do you think? 15 maybe, when he started really playing, and then younger.
He said he was like 8 or 9 when he was like.
Oh, there you go.
Sunderland, yeah.
And then he got famous when he was probably 18, 19. Been famous his whole life. When does he sit around writing correspondence to anybody? You know what I mean? So like, his handwriting's probably suffered. You know. He does read the letter, and it says, "Dear Keely, I want you to know something. You never did anything wrong. It was all me. I was stuck in my own shit, and I didn't want to cause you any harm with it, so I pulled away. But you are," and then he looks at her, "you are and always will be Keely fucking Jones. And if I ever did anything at all that made you feel like that wasn't true, I'm so sorry, and I love you. Sincerely yours, Roy Kent, XOXO."
XOXO. Little Gossip Girl reference at the end there for the boys.
I love the way that Roy like stopped like mid like sort of reading it, realizes, why the fuck am I reading this? I'm just tell her.
Yeah.
And looks up and like looks in the eye to tell her. It's so cool.
I genuinely thought he hadn't written that and he was just ad-libbing that bit, like, because he's like, I've only written this first bit and I don't think that's enough. I'm here.
I don't know, because he says yours, Roy Kent.
Yeah, but then Roy Kent.
Yeah, I think he's reading it out to her, but then he's just kind of realized again. It's this whole like new Roy we're seeing, where he's kind of taking accountability for everything that he's like kind of like stopped himself from having in life. Like he stopped himself having happiness with Keely because he felt like he didn't deserve it, even though he's Roy fucking Kent. Of course, he deserved it.
Of course.
You didn't have to write Kent. I don't know if you knew any other Roys.
Yeah, I didn't want to assume.
Didn't want to assume.
She so she thanks him, and it's a long moment. And like when I first watched this, I'm waiting for a hug. I'm waiting for something. And he just goes, okay, and walks off. And you see her, and you know the camera's getting ready to cut, and suddenly she makes a move, and then the camera cuts, and you're like, she went after him. You know what I mean? It's so cool. Yeah, so cool. Nate and his parents are at the table playing cards. Golden Star by Middle Kids is playing as they are enjoying a game. Again, his mom is having time of her life. Probably the best week of her life.
They are playing.
You know,
she didn't say, so she'd have to pick up 2 cards anyway. Just saying.
Yeah.
Back at Keely's, Rebecca is at the door, and Keely screams, "Oh my God, have you been shot?"
I love this so much.
It's a horrifying scream.
Andy, it's just bolognese. Yeah.
Okay, what's the reference? I've missed
Hot
it.
Fuzz.
Oh my God! See, I haven't seen that movie.
It's okay, Andy. It's just bolognese.
Yeah, that's right. Wonderful.
I wasn't expecting a Hot Fuzz reference tonight.
It's so good. Rebecca says, "I just convinced a room full of Rupert's dickhead friends to pull out of the Akufo League." She says, "Oh no!" She says, "Oh no, it's very good. Hug me." And she's like, "I'm so proud of you, even though I don't totally get it." Rebecca says, "Thank you. Wait, now that I know that you're actually alive, I'm very cross with you. Where the hell have you been?" So they go in, and Keely tells about the situation with KJPR. Keely didn't want to tell her about it. Rebecca asked how much money they were putting in. She don't want to hear of it. She says no. But then she's writing it down. Rebecca says, "What are you doing?" This is how they do it in the movies, right? She hands it to her, and she's like, "Wow." And Rebecca's like, "Are you joking?" She's like, "I told you. I think I have that much money on me in cash." And Keely's like, "No." She's like, "Yes."
Yeah.
So they hug, and then bam.
It's a lovely bit. Like, Rebecca knows she's good at the job.
Yeah.
And it's purely because of Jack that she took that dream away from her.
Yeah.
But also as well, like not to kind of read too much into it, but Rebecca's got to see, like, Keely was doing PR for the club for free anyway, more or less, with like her firm. If Rebecca's actually like putting money into it, then it's almost to a degree like she's paying Keely back for that.
And
but also
tax deductible as well.
Yeah, but also it's like kind of like continuing to pay Keely to do that.
Yeah,
because obviously that'll probably, that'll be part of like the whole package, won't it? Like Richmond will be one of Keely's clients.
You'll get a free air fryer.
Yeah.
Oh, was it an air fryer they got or whatever it was?
I mean, all I want to know is what's that eventual scene of, like, well, I say scene, that eventual meeting of Barbara and Higgins going to be like?
Oh,
it's going to be fucking unhinged.
Well, we know Barbara's wild on night out, so we know Higgins is wild on night out. So
I think they'll get along just fine.
Because they briefly were in this vicinity of one another on the match, weren't they? But they didn't really speak to one another.
No, I think it's like Time Cop if they touch. Yeah.
She then tells her Rupert tried to kiss her, and she's like, "What? Did your lips touch?" No, I pulled back straight away, and I just looked at him and it just made it all so clear. She goes, "That's huge. Can you imagine if you fell for it, you got back with Rupert? After all that floppy cock is done, you would have had to be insane. You'd have to be at the bottom of your emotional barrel to do something that dumb." And as she's saying this, you can see Roy coming over her shoulder with a robe.
A pink dressing gown on, yeah.
I love the fact, though, as well, that like Rebecca's looking over her shoulder and Keely's slowly turning around. And then, like, there's that lovely bit with Rebecca and Roy where obviously they have that kind of like rapport, which we were talking about in the last episode. And he just kind of like salutes her and she salutes him back, and they just leave it unspoken.
Yeah,
they know what they're all thinking. It's all good.
She knows that Roy has sorted himself out, and Keely is with someone who deserves her.
Rebecca's like guided him into getting his head out his fucking arse. Like he said, he's trying to not be so set in his ways. Her giving him the kick up his arse is like, stop getting in your own fucking way, Roy. Come on.
Yeah. No, it's just great. It's just that. But again, this is one of those examples of show don't tell. Like they just, that's it, and then they're off, and that's the last. Like, I don't think that's ever sort of brought up again. But yeah, it's just a good bit. Also, like, why wouldn't Rebecca help Keely? Like, it's another woman in the workplace that isn't an old man.
Like, she like doesn't she offer to help her
right at the start?
Yeah, but
before
no, I mean, like before Jack steps in, doesn't she offer to help her? And then
she refuses.
Keely turns it down.
Yeah. At the dog track, Will comes in And the locker room is perfect. It's spotless. Everything's put up. Everything's wonderful.
This made
and
me
there's a
cry
note.
as well.
There's a note, yeah, with his name, and it says, "I'm sorry." Signed Wonder Kid. Wonder Kid.
Little
Two
sprig
words.
of lavender on there as well.
Yeah, I love that. Instead of an olive branch, it's a sprig of lavender.
Yeah.
Reference from season 1. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Season 1 or season 2?
Season 2.
Season 2, I think.
Episode 2 of season 2.
It's lavender, isn't it? The episode, yeah.
Yeah.
It is
because Will puts lavender in all the watching.
Season 2, episode 2.
Season 2 episodes, yeah. Because of have you seen the state of this? Lavender, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's
where do you hear this? Where do you hear this shit? I love that line.
Yeah. But that's the other where Nate first turns, and this is Nate's redemption fully now.
Yeah. We see Nate walking out of the tunnel. Oh yeah.
He comes out of that door 237. Yeah.
Yeah, Renee's let him in, yeah. We see Keely back in her office. She's talking to a prospective client over the phone. KJPR would still love to help you. Take your sunglasses global, Miss J. And then she's answering a question. You can tell. Oh, I would maybe say ambitious nightmare of a crazy, but yes, we have parted ways with Shandy.
Yeah. I love that she's on the phone.
Wonderful.
You see in the background as well, Barbara walking in.
Just sidling in. Yeah.
Yeah. But you can't see who it is. They like, because of the way it's shot, Keely's obviously blocking the actual like the doorway, so you can just see the silhouette of her. And it's such a big change from obviously the last time we saw Barbara, where she's like in a tracksuit and she's like, it's like sort of like saying goodbye, and then Barbara's like dressed for work
in her pantsuit, in her business thing. It's just, I have to return this because I only buy one when I leave a job, and I've told Jack I'm quitting, and I'm like, yes, Barbara, go on.
But if you're looking for a CFO, and Keely immediately goes in for a hug, and Barbara's uncomfortable, and she finally says, "Would you mind loosening your grip? Because I need to get the receipts. You can reimburse me."
You'd think,
Jesus,
though, like Keely would just say, "All right, I'm gonna give you the money back, but I know you don't like getting them from anywhere, but I want you to keep hold of this just because it's like a welcome aboard gift or something."
You would just put it at reception as a reminder, wouldn't you? As just a totem thing, like
or just have it keep like appearing in Barbara's office.
Oh, just keep sneaking it in.
Super glue it to her desk.
Put it in a deli.
Back at the dog track, the guys have returned and are happy to see each other. Done Did Me No Good by the Bahamas is playing, and we see Van Damme's nose is heavily taped, and suddenly Dani's behind him, and Dani's all smiles, right? Hola, amigo. Yeah,
I love how scared he is.
Terrified of him.
How's it feeling? And when he's like, "How's your nose feeling?" Like out there on his arm.
It's broken.
I love the way he was like. I love the way he's like, "That was so fun, wasn't it?"
Yeah, such a crazy game. And then when he walks off, you don't see him, but you hear him saying, "So many memories." He saved the ball. He saved the ball with his nose. Top 10 moments in sports history. Like, what? Jesus.
Danny's a fucking lunatic.
I love that we'll never see it again unless there is a season 4 and if we get it and there's another international break and this time he's playing another team.
Oh, I don't know. I think a one-off Evil Dani is fun.
I would have loved it if the only way it would have been better is if instead of playing against Zorro, it was playing against Sweden and Zava, because obviously Danny's hero is Zava.
Oh, Evil Dani against Zava. Yeah, well,
Evil Dani against Zava would have been amazing.
But yeah,
the
things that could have been.
Wow,
this is why fan fiction exists. Yeah.
Yes. They don't. We'll just write season 4. We got this. In Ted's office, Trent asks Beard where he's from originally. He says, "None of your business." Trent responds with, "Yeah, it was a bit personal."
Just
a quick back and forth. The book Coach Beard was reading was The Club: How the Premier League Became the Richest, Most Disruptive Business in Sport by Joshua Robinson and Jonathan Clegg. Roy comes in wearing a darker tie-dye t-shirt, and they're doing that thing where they're like,
he's embracing it.
He just grunts, and they grunt back at him, and they just smile at each other and do the grunts. And Beard says, "I'm from Peoria," so he just tells him, which is good. Rebecca is rehanging, and we assume, guys, this is the piece of art that Rupert had given her.
Yes.
The Hockney from before. Ted comes into her office.
Again,
Oh, that's cool. Did you draw that?
One of Ted's few lines in this. But again, it's gold. Did you draw that? No, it's a Hockney. Well, he's a very talented little boy.
Yeah.
That's probably worth thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, that piece. Like, and it's cack as well.
Yeah.
She fridge.
Well, he's brought her biscuits, and she sets them down. And one of the headlines on the paper, did you see it? Crash of the Titans.
Yep.
Rumored Akufo League falls apart. And she says, "I want to share something with you I've realized recently." And he goes, "How weird it is that margarita pizza doesn't have alcohol in it. I'm with you, sister."
Yep.
No, Ted. I've realized I no longer care if I beat Rupert. I mean, I still want to win, but for all of us, for Richmond. He says, "I want to win for us too." And then suddenly, without warning, she spits tea onto his face.
Yep.
And he's just like this. And she's like, "It just feels like it's ceremonial at this point." He says, "As long as none of that tree piss gets in my mouth, I'm actually okay with it."
And there's the Ted swear that we get when that situation presents itself as well.
Union Jack by Big Audio Dynamite plays us out. I love Big Audio Dynamite.
Yeah,
I've always been a fan. So it almost felt like end of the season. This is it. Do you know what I mean? This episode almost felt like it could have been a last episode.
Yeah, there was one bit we did actually miss out on, which I completely forgot about until I was looking at my notes, which is Sam taking the picture out of his bag and hanging it back into his I do believe he talks about In's locker. I do believe he does talk about it when in the original Edwin Akufo episode, but I can't remember if we covered it. So it's a picture of the 1994 Nigeria World Cup squad. The significance of that is that was the first year that Nigeria ever qualified for the World Cup. So they were like national heroes and obviously they inspired like a generation of footballers to become footballers essentially in Nigeria. So yeah, it's a very cool little Easter egg for Sam there.
I think it is mentioned I think we did mention it in the Edwin Akufo episode, the first one as well, but we don't see it, and the fact that it's going back in there means that he's not giving up on his hopes.
Yeah, he tears it down, doesn't he, when Edwin says you'll never play for Nigeria?
Yes. Yeah.
And then it's like the dream's still alive.
Yeah. It's only 20 million.
That's all. Yeah, crazy.
If
well,
get involved with the Nigerian government being involved.
It would have been interesting to get some sort of footnote on how that team did in the international play. I would have been curious. Just a random background blurb, you know.
Yeah. Also, interestingly, I did get this on the IMDb under the goofs for this episode. When I can find it. So the teams that the team that England were playing was VTC. Now, there's only the only countries that could be is Vanuatu, Venezuela, Vietnam, or Vatican City. It isn't Vatican City because they're playing in blue and the Vatican City playing yellow and black.
And I'm assuming don't play on internationals because Vatican City is the smallest.
They're a principality, aren't they?
Yeah. So.
And Monaco play club level, so you would assume, but I don't know, me.
I wouldn't have thought there'd be a lot of football within that square mile.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It never. I mean, England are thumping them, which would probably indicate it's it could be Vietnam or Vatican City, but then obviously it never really elaborates on who it is.
No, again, I'm fairly sure in a lot of the text things at the top of who the teams are, there's been errors throughout it.
Oh yeah,
but
yeah.
Again, it don't matter.
It was just like an interesting thing.
I loved it if it was the Vatican City. The goalkeeper's just in a cross position all the time. They're really good at crosses. Yeah.
They all just dress as the Swiss Guard.
It's their gimmick.
Oh, how good would it have been if Bumbercatch was representing Vatican City?
It's a terrible army to be in, the Swiss Guard. You've got a just big knife, small knife, little saw, thing for getting stones out of horses' hooves. Yeah, Swiss Army. No,
always have Tom Hanks just lurking around as well, trying to break in.
Yeah.
Absolute nightmare.
I'm just imagining soldiers going, hold on a second, and then trying to get the right tool out. All right, now.
Oh, corkscrew?
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Toothpick that you
fingernail file?
lose. Yeah. That's no good because it's metal. Yeah.
Who puts a metal besides the dentist?
It's for sawing through prison bars.
Yeah. Well, so you can tell we're done because we're getting distracted. And but
we're doing our own Ted bits.
Yeah.
We've only got 3 more of these. 11, 12, and then the series wrap up. That's it. We're done with this show anyway. So we're going to take advantage of the time we got left here. I say it as if we're on death row. Dead man walking, right? So anyway, there you have it, kids. Episode 10 is in the can, and we are so close. We're so close now to the end of this series, at least for now. If I told you, if I told you I haven't already created templates for thumbnails for a season 4, I'd be lying because I have. Just I want to be ready. Got to be ready. 2 things were said in the chat when news broke, and by the time you see this, I don't know what's going to be happening in the world of Ted Lasso. Maybe it's over already. Who knows? 2 things happened. Jay says, we're back in business, boys. And then Tom said, this show's never going to be over. But I don't say it because I dread it. I love doing this, but I'm like, oh my God, this is going to keep going forever. So anyway, depending on what happens, I'm here for it. Cross your fingers that if it happens, it's good. That's it.
Concern. I don't want them to arrested development it.
Thank you. So, Joe, let's start with you. Biggest takeaways from this episode?
This is the wrap-up stories for a lot of sort of external characters. I don't think we really see Rupert again because that's done. Like Rebecca's main story, all the kind of peripheral main characters are pretty much done. All we've got left now is basically Ted. And that's kind of what the last 2 episodes focus on. But the fact that you can tell that this is them wrapping up ends because the fact that it cuts about so much. There are similarities in the stories being told. So to do them all simultaneously makes sense. But this is the first act. We have the main bit and then the finale of it. And this is all now Ted's journey.
Yeah. What do you think, Jay?
Yeah, it's very much as Joe said, it's kind of wrapping up a lot of loose ends for people. As we said at the top of the episode, this pretty much wraps up Keely's story. Like she has bits in the show, but she doesn't have like a great deal. Same with Rebecca. Don't really see a great deal of Rebecca until like the last scene, do we? No. And then obviously we're on the road to Nate's redemption story, Ted's final arc, and there is a little bit more of Roy and Jamie to come, which I'm excited for because I enjoy that.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, but yeah, I think this is like Joe put it best, saying this is like Act 1 of the finale, so to speak. The last 3 episodes of the show could have been like one big feature length one if they really wanted to. go down like the Game of Thrones route, but thankfully they didn't. And he just split it into 3 so we can talk about it as 3.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you guys. It's the first time, and it took me this long. Like, I knew it was coming. Of course, the thing's over by the time we start recording and talking about it. But like, it really hit me rewatching this, and I'm like, wow, we're almost there. Like, crazy, man, crazy. Well,
check off Nate now, and that's it. Because he's in play.
Nate's in play. Nate is in play. Yeah. So, kids, there you have it. 10 episodes of season 3 are officially done. We've got 2 more, and then the series. Usually we would do a season rundown at the end. We got 11 and 12, and then we got the series rundown where we'll just have a fun time. I got an idea about what we're going to do, and I'll hit Joe with it as we go off mic because I haven't asked him or told him about it.
Ooh.
So we'll see. It's nothing.
Yeah,
it's nothing too formal, but it ties a lot of stuff together that we've always talked about here on the show. Not the least of which is always being hungry. I'll leave it at that, and we'll see when we get there. So, thanks again, kids, for hanging out. Humble reminder from yours truly, boinkstudios.com, BOINK, boinkstudios.com. You find links to this show, all the podcast links wherever we are, iHeartRadio, Amazon, Apple, you name it. All the links are there. Also for Tom Clark's Main Event and Tom Clark's 6M podcast, as well as Dammit, Vacant, and Untitled Wrestling podcast and Hallmark of Greatness. All the links are there. So instead of having to Google everything, you can if you want to. Just go to boinkstudios.com. Everything's there. We've got links to everywhere we are, including the YouTube at Boink Studios. That's all we got for you, kids. Thanks, as always, for hanging out with us. Get ready, because we're about ready to take this thing home. And thanks much to everybody who stuck with us through this whole journey. We've had a blast, and hopefully you have too. Bear with us. We're not done quite yet. Just hang in there, and we'll get there. For Joe and Jay, I'm Tom. See you next time, kids.